Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs for caring for your home. Out. Indecision, overthinking, second-guessing every choice you make. In. Plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out. Beige on beige on beige. In. Knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week in Laurel, Delaware, when a skeleton is found tied to a tree in the woods, many theories spring up, but it doesn't take long for the real story to come to light. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us. We are excited as can be. As you can be for murder, really. I mean, there's murder happening, so I mean, we're not, it's, oh, boo, murder, but all the rest of the stuff, we're excited. We're excited to do a show here. Very excited. And want to thank everybody this week for your reviews on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon. Don't know why it helps, but it helps, so get on that 5 stars, please. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now, immediately, to get all of your merch, everything for crime and sports and Small Town Murder. And if you're not listening to crime and sports, you should check it out. We did Suge Knight last week, so very little sports there. Just a lot of crazy crime. So check that out. More crime than you'd imagine, too.
Oh, yeah.
So check that out. The ponytail incident is enough right there to blow me away. So check that out. And also get your tickets to all of the live shows coming up. Yeah. We have a full slate in 2022. And at the end of this year, there's a few also that are for sale. Get your tickets right now because they were for sale originally at the end of 2019, so a lot of the tickets have been bought. I know, like Boston sold out. It's been sold out for a year and a half, things like that. So some of the shows don't have a ton of tickets left, so get those immediately right now. And check out, everybody, patreon.com/crime and sports. I don't know what you're doing if you're not on there, because we have had, our shows are so fun on there. They just are. And the ones we just posted, no exception at all. We did for the crime and sports bonus, which you will have access to because you have access to everything on Patreon. We did drugs and sports, the history of drugs and sports, found out things about cocaine that we had no idea about. Learn the origin of the term going bug house, because we're bringing it back. It's a term from like 120 years ago. That's amazing.
How did that one go away?
It's crazy.
But we got like descriptions like penis wrinkle. That doesn't even make any sense.
I don't get it. And for the small town murder one, equally crazy, we did the downfall of the Hillside Stranglers, the notorious serial killers from L.A. area there, from the 70s, and that shit was insane with so much with the multiple personality silliness and his girlfriend who tried that.
Fuck?
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to hear it. You got to hear it. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Crazy stuff. And you will also not only get access to all of the bonus stuff, the whole back catalog and everything like that, but you'll also be a producer. So you're going to get a shout out at the end of the show. And Jimmy will mispronounce your name while trying his best to pronounce it well. So that'll be a fun thing. And if you just want to have great karma, our undying affection, and get your name mispronounced, you can do that as well over at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. And get on that right there. So that said, disclaimer time. This is a comedy show, everybody. It's a comedy show. We are comedians, so there's going to be jokes. Now, murders are going to happen. Every week it happens. It's called small town murder. We didn't kill anybody, first of all, and we're not happy about the murders either. That's the other thing. We don't make jokes about the murder. We're not like, oh, then they dismembered this person, and we're like, hilarious. Arm or leg first. Oh God, that's good. That's not where the jokes are. The jokes are in, a police force bumbling and letting a murderer walk free. That can be pretty, amusing when it's crazy like that. And in addition to that, we make fun of the murderer.
Oh, yeah.
We have to, because we go out of our way not to make fun of the victim or the victim's family.
Why?
And that's because we're assholes. But we're not scumbags, Jimmy.
There you have it.
That's how it works there. So if that sounds good to you, I think we're going to have a great time. So buckle up and enjoy. If not, if you think true crime and comedy should never, ever, ever, ever go together, maybe this isn't for you. But it might be. But either way, no complaining afterwards. That said, I think it's time, Jimmy. I think it's time to sit back, just clear it all out and shout, shut up!
Shut up and give me murder!
Nice. We were all... I like this new do our own cadence be damned.
Run it how you brung it, James.
That's right. Let's do it. Let's go on a trip, Jimmy.
All right.
Shall we? Let's do it here. We are going all the way, not very far, actually. We're going to stay in the Mid-Atlantic region. While we were in Maryland last week, we're going to go to Delaware, right next door.
Oh, terrific.
So no plane ride or anything. We're going to drive right next door. A lot of crazy stuff coming up in the next few weeks, by the way. We have Hawaii, Michigan, and California, and they are next level bonkers, all these cases.
Hawaii.
So it's a lot. Yeah, we're finally going back to Hawaii. Finally found some small town Hawaii stuff.
Terrific.
So now we're going to Laurel, Delaware. There's also a Laurel, Maryland, which was confusing because I ended up thinking it was that at first and doing all the research for Laurel, Maryland, and then going, I'm in the wrong state. And
I'd like to know the origin of where Laurel comes from everywhere, because it's very popular.
I believe it's England, and we'll probably find out here, I would imagine, too. But that's why we did Maryland last week and Delaware this week, because this was supposed to be last week, but then I realized it was Delaware, but I wanted Maryland, so I did Maryland, and then I already had a bunch of Delaware done, so here we are. Anyway, let's do this. Laurel, Delaware, southwestern Delaware. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes to Washington, D.C., about 2 hours and 15 minutes to Philly. So right in between those places. It's in Sussex County, which, again, from the English, there's a Sussex County in every state on the East Coast, I think. There's everywhere. Area code 302, 3 square miles. And the motto of this town, And this is their motto here. Quote, great things come naturally. Yeah, that's, they come naturally, which would make sense as for the second part of their motto, which is lesser known, and that is they better be natural because we're not trying. So that's
we've given up.
Now, history of this town briefly. This is from the front page of their website. Okay, this isn't really history. This is current. It says, quote, do not flush any of the following as they do not break down and will clog sewer lines and jam pumps. This is front page. This is the first thing they need.
What?
Pumps.
Oh, pumps. Okay.
This is
what? What about the pumps?
This is the first thing they want you to know about the town. Not come here, it's beautiful, live, work, and play.
First thing they want you to know about this town is we're on septic.
Is what to not mess up the shitter with, okay? How to not break the shitter, number one.
Unbelievable.
Baby wipes. Clorox or disinfectant wipes. Cleaning wipes. Wipes, can we just say any type of wipe? It's not toilet paper. Tissues, I guess. The aloe,
flush a Kleenex?
They don't break down the same. Paper towels and trash of any kind. Like people
just say only flush toilet paper.
Only flush shit and toilet paper, please.
That's all we can handle in this town.
Even if you vomit, you might have to run
that through a strainer.
Run it through a strainer to get some of the pieces out because
puke through colanders, please.
They're not hunky dory with our sewer system. I'm sorry, we can't do this at all. So
this place is great.
This is amazing. I love when it starts out like this, like, by the way, don't drink the water is first page, or like, I love when it's some shit like that. That always makes me happy. I don't know why. It cracks me the fuck up. So let's see what's interesting about this town. The name of this town, I believe it's from it's an English thing here from what I found. The southern part of Delaware saw a sweet potato boom.
Oh,
just sweet potatoes as far as the eye can see.
I love sweet potatoes, James.
From 1900s until the 1940s, and in order to store the crops, potato houses were built. So
and then what happened? It's all fucked out?
I guess all fucked out. And they said the blight struck. I don't know if this didn't grow anymore. A blight on the soil, a blight on the people not wanting sweet potatoes anymore. I don't know what it was, man. A self-imposed sweet
Everybody
potato
had
famine.
enough fucking sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
It's enough.
You know what? I've had them a lot. It's been 40 years of sweet potatoes. Really, I'm ready to go to a regular potato now, like a russet.
I'm going to be honest with you. The novelty's worn off on these fries. Not so good.
Let's check on what Idaho's got going on. I hear they're doing good things nowadays. What do you say? I hear they're really up in the potato game for everybody. They're microwavable and they're still crispy. That's how good they make them now.
Somehow.
So the potato house is a structure built, obviously, for the storage of sweet potatoes, and they were very common here. Apparently, the early 20th century was when they really were pumping them out because of all the sweet potatoes that they were growing. They're 2-story wood-framed structures, tall and narrow proportions, heated in winter with a coal or wood stove. And potatoes were stored from October through February, requiring a constant temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
They don't
like a basement. They made a basement.
Sweet potatoes good for 4 fucking months.
Apparently, before you can even do anything with it. I don't know. I know a lot of like fruits and vegetables are stored before shipping. They pick them at a certain time for commercial use.
Age them?
I don't know. I mean, you have to age your potatoes. Fine aged.
Fucking ribeye?
Fine aged sweet potatoes. Like a fine cheddar.
I had no idea.
That's really weird.
That makes sense. How about you ship those fuckers out so that they last more than 3 goddamn days in my fridge?
I don't like sweet potatoes, so
really?
I don't eat them at all. No, they have a weird, it's like, oh, good, a potato. Why does it taste like that? My brain is, I think it's because my brain is set for a potato when I see one, and then it's
you
not
hear
a potato.
and you're like, this tastes nothing like a fucking potato.
It's exactly what it is. My brain and my mouth are having a fight.
Also,
over it.
when you chop it, it's not a fucking potato.
No, I don't. Maybe if you called it something else, I could do it. But when you, it's you're comparing it to a potato. It's automatically in competition with a potato when you put the word potato in it, and there is no competition, is what I'm saying. The regular potato is superior. So I know that's going to be probably the most sensitive thing we've ever said. We're going to get the most shit over Potato Gate 2021, but I don't care.
It's going to be nuts, James.
I don't care, everybody. I don't care what you say. I don't care anymore. Wow. I don't care. Fuck sweet potatoes. We've all been pretending to like them forever.
If you are mad at James for that, I'm on your side. I fucking love them.
No, I will say the exception is a sweet potato pie. That's a different. That's an exception there because it's a different deal. Now we're talking something totally different. That's not
mashed sweet potatoes.
It's a different thing.
Fuck out of mashed potatoes.
I wouldn't say that. Mashed potatoes.
Really?
Mashed potatoes to me, they can take on anything that you need them to be. That's what's wonderful.
That's the problem. You're not going to just eat mashed potatoes. You're going to put shit in it to make it taste better because it's
butter,
shit.
Salt, pepper. But how many foods? You don't eat a steak without seasoning it. You don't eat anything that's good without seasoning.
I fucking love them.
An unseasoned steak.
I will eat it.
You Absolutely. Are a monster. Salt and pepper are there to bring out the flavor of the steak. You're like, this steak could be wonderful, but I'll take it at half speed. I think I'd like to take. What is this, a V8 engine?
Whoa.
Let's pull four of these out.
With all the speed on the steak.
Let's pull 4 of these cylinders out. I don't want to run that hot. Let's just go. I'm going to keep it under 35. Let's do that. You're out of your mind, Jimmy.
I will eat a fucking. I used to do it all the time. Just throw that fucker on the grill.
Did you not have access to salt? It's like 39 cents for 7 pounds of it. Put some salt on it, for fuck's sake. What are you doing? It's not hard to find.
All right. That's fine.
Oh, man.
My point is, you can't just mash potatoes and eat that.
That's a good point.
You can mash sweet potatoes
flavor.
And just eat it.
No, they have
fantastic.
their own flavor, which that's why when they're mashed, they take on a whole different thing. There's a different texture to them, too, when they're mashed. Anyway, so.
That's absolutely the only way sweet potatoes are superior to regular potatoes. Outside of that, you do them in any other exact configuration, the russet will kick the fuck out of a sweet potato.
Yeah. I don't want sour cream on a sweet potato. It just doesn't work. Or bacon. No. So Laurel here, incorporated as a town in 1883. It was one of the wealthiest towns in the state. They had 11 general stores and only 2,500 people. 7 grocery stores, a bunch of clothing stores, drug stores, carriage factories, butcher shops. Like, this place was thriving with sweet potato money. It was just chock full of sweet potato money.
Idea.
Neither did I. West Laurel is one of Delaware's oldest free black communities as well, which is interesting there as well. West Laurel dates back to the 1790s.
Holy shit.
Yeah. At some point in 1870s, Captain Theodore Marsh settled in West Laurel, bought property, broke the property into plots, and sold them to his shipmates, and that's how that happened. Okay. So, they're like, I'm making a town. It's interesting here. Once hosted the Laurel Blue Hens of the Eastern Shore Baseball League. So they used to have a team. And somehow in this little town, the Laurel High School football team has won 3 Division II state championships.
Look at this.
It's doing well. Reviews of this town, 3 stars, and I can't find a lot of bad ones on them. Just a bunch of, here's all 3 stars out of 5 here. 3 stars. Laurel is a small town in Delaware. Well, no shit. That's why we're here. It's not the greatest place to live, but the community as a whole is great. There are bad neighborhoods, and very few, they mean very few, they said every few, very few restaurants or businesses to work at, but everything is relatively close together. Okay? 3 stars, there's nothing attracting people or businesses. Therefore, many residents end up involved in law enforcement trouble or using drugs. I think they mean law enforcement trouble or using drugs. So, because this person uses no punctuation. So, I think they either...
Or they mean like you're just in law
trouble with the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Here's a person, new resident. I've lived in Laurel for a year now. There isn't many stores or restaurants. Okay. There isn't many. I wish there was a Wawa instead of 2 Royal Farms. Well, you know what? I agree, because Wawa is fantastic.
Yeah, or just take what you can get. Jesus, calm down.
Any little convenience store where you can get a wonderful sandwich is tremendous.
They'd trade 1 Wawa for 2 whatever the fuck that other gas station
That's
is.
what it is.
Yeah.
There is a lot of farm life in Laurel. All righty. Okay. And here's 3 stars. I have basically lived in Laurel all my life, a contrasting view. And one thing I can say is that Laurel comes together as a family. No matter what happens, you will be treated as family in Laurel. One thing I would like to happen for Laurel is that we get recognized more often than we do. Well, you got your wish, Chief. Is this what you meant? Mm-hmm. I want people to look at the map and be like, I want to visit Laurel. Well, maybe you won't get that, but 50-50, 6 of 1, I mean, you're getting half of what you wanted. I want us to be noticed is the last line. Well, congratulations.
It happened.
You're getting what you want. Many hundreds of thousands of people who had no idea you existed now know you exist and won't want to go there because they can't flush anything down the toilet. They're going to be very afraid. So,
ladies, you can't go there at least 1 week a month for you.
Yeah, you're going to wrap them all up in some toilet paper.
Throw them all in yuck.
Yeah, boy. So anyway, people in this town, the population, 4,147. Which is up 29% since 1990. And the male and female populations are absolutely the most out of whack I've ever seen for a town that has more than like 300 people. 58.5% female.
That is fascinating.
That is, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening.
That's the furthest out.
I don't know if there's some sort of genetic... like some sort of genetic modification for only X chromosomes to come out or what's going on here. But it has to do with sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes cause girls. Everyone out there, here's a new old wives' tale. If you eat sweet potatoes when you're pregnant, you'll have a girl. So
it's a new wives' tale.
Yeah, new wives' tale. Median age here, 24.3 as well, which is, 15 years younger almost than the national average. There's 3 times the kid demographic, 0 to 4 years old. Babies everywhere. And but yet there's very few kids that are like between 4 and 14. I don't know what happened. People there's a baby explosion going on here.
What the shit?
And like half of the over 55 population. I guess they're driven out by the incessant crying. Was
the government giving free homes to soldiers from Afghanistan?
Potato houses for anyone willing to impregnate their spouse. Free potato
and they just
house.
Came back and just started having babies? What is it, like the baby boom?
It's basically like a post-war baby boom here. Wow. Married population's low. Mm-hmm. It's like 37%. It's normally 50-50. Single with no children, higher than the national average, which is rare for us, 13%. So higher. Race of this town, 35% white, which is definitely low for us. It's normally about 62%. 48% black, which is
fascinating,
higher than normal here, like we said. And that's the average population is 12.3%. And the average population on our show is like negative 8.7%. Small towns. It's just 0.0% Asian, though. No Asian people here. Okay. And 11.6% Hispanic. So it's mixed. It's a lot of mixture. The religion here, 37.7% are religious, which is lower than the normal, 50%. Yeah. And there's a few Catholics, a Methodist here and there, some of those. You got a Lutheran running around. You might have a Pentecostal popping out of somewhere, that sort of thing. But what you don't have is 0.0% Jewish. That's one thing you don't have. 0.0% Jewish, 0.0% Muslim. The county, Sussex County, in the last election, 37% voted Democrat and 59% Republican, 4% Independent. The unemployment rates here is about normal. It's about average. The median income, though, is low, household income. Really? Regularly, it's about $57,500. Here, it is just over $34,000. So that's
interesting.
It's a lot lower than normal. 24% make under $15,000 a year.
Why are all these people having babies with this little amount of income?
It seems like, from the demographics, it seems like there's young people with babies. So that's a problem. I don't know if there's like a college nearby or something, but that age population has to have something to do with like something nearby where young people are. You know what I mean? There has to be something like that. Very few people here make over $50,000 a year. It's not great when it comes to that kind of stuff. Manufacturing jobs are the highest ones, and retail trade. Those are the two big jobs here. Cost of living, 91 is here. Normally 100 is average. Here it's 91. Housing is low, 67 out of 100.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Median home cost $155,900. So, yeah, it's not unreasonable there. And if we've convinced you, damn it, if you've been noticed, you've noticed Laurel. You've given that man his wish.
You can't take your eyes off her.
Gotta go there. We have for you the Laurel, Delaware Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here goes for about $960 a month. I found, which is lower than the national average. I found a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,064 square foot trailer. And I mean, it's a trailer. It's a small trailer. It's not great. $36,500 for this little piece of heaven.
Deal.
So I mean, it's a place to live. It's cheap. It's the price of like a small SUV. So that's something. Can't live in that. Can't live in a Chevy Equinox, can you? No. So there you go.
If it had a toilet, I don't think I'd be opposed. If I had nothing to do, you know what I mean?
I just mean this is easier to live in than a Chevy Equinox. Found a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot. So the same thing, except actually anchored to the ground with a foundation, an actual house, and it's a nice little house. It's a cute little house. $65,000. So
okay.
If you want a foundation, it's going to cost you an extra $30,000 for that. Then I found a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a nice house here, 3,232 square feet.
That's
nice.
Big.
It's a spacious house. It's nice. It's well done. $349,999.
Jesus.
So little pricey, but in Phoenix, that house would be $1.1 million. So it's something. Things to do in this town. Holy shit, looking at these. Not a lot to do here, I found, as the reviews told us. I found the Strawberry Festival.
Of course there's a festival.
They're very proud of the Strawberry Festival. It's held in May, and they do have they tout scrapple sandwiches for breakfast. So
Ew.
That's what they have. You head over to the St. Philip's Episcopal Church and you pick up a scrapple sandwich for breakfast.
Gross.
And then they have chicken salad for lunch, which is
chicken salad sandwich?
Sandwiches, yeah. Or not even sandwiches. It just says chicken salad. So I guess
it's got to be a sandwich, right?
Forking out some. You might have to bring your own bread
all day.
You might have to bring your own bread, Jimmy. I'm not gonna. They're not guaranteeing us bread here. That's the problem. So
it does not say sandwich.
Can you get one of each and then dump the scrapple out and put your chicken salad on the scrapple bread?
I don't know.
Will it taste like a scrapple salad sandwich at that point?
P.S. Those are two of the worst sandwiches on earth.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. Yeah, chicken salad's depressing.
It is.
Chicken salad, when you eat that, you're like, yep, it's come to this. I'm eating, it's just chicken salad.
This is where I am.
I don't know why that is, but it's a depressing meal. Even if you really like it when you're eating it, when you take that first bite, you're like, yeah, look at me. There's something about it. I don't know what it is.
I got through this bread, and then right in the middle is this mush. Like any sandwich that's just like a paste in the middle. I don't want anything to do with it.
Tuna, but chicken is different.
I can tolerate it, but I don't want it.
Chicken's different. So
I've never on a menu, and there are other options, been like, I'll have the tuna. No.
Oh, I like tuna. Yeah, I like tuna.
Do you?
Yeah, it's good. Tuna's really good. Chicken salad is pretty crappy, though. And it's not even because it's like a low-quality food, because I'll eat shit any day. I'll eat ramen noodles. I'll eat hot dogs at 2 a.m. I don't care. That's not what I'm about. But yeah, it's just not that good. So all kinds of strawberry desserts, of course. It's a strawberry festival. Yeah. And the Hope Lodge will be serving oyster fritters. Oyster fritters?
Wait,
I don't know. I'll take it. If you're in that area, eat anything with seafood in it. And cream of crab soup, which is probably very good.
That I can deal with.
That's good. Join us at this community-oriented, family-friendly festival centered around local fresh strawberries. They mentioned scrapple as much as strawberries in that. Admission is free. Breakfast, lunch, strawberry desserts, strawberry lemonade, oyster fritter sandwiches, and cream of crab soup served by Hope Lodge, crafters and vendors. This is all free. What the hell is this about?
What?
Bake table and attic treasures, live music, children's activities, and face painting. So there you go.
Everything's free.
I don't know if the food is free. It sounds like the food's provided by the Masons there. I don't know what's going on. So
unbelievable.
Wow. Then they have the Laurel Beer, Wine, and Spirits Festival, which sounds
okay.
very fun here. That'll be held. That's held in September. Live music, entertainment, and shitloads of booze. So get on that.
Yeah.
You know you want to go there.
Right there's the reason there's so many babies.
And it's only from 12 to 4, which is they're going to send a bunch of shit-housed people, just release them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon into the world. That seems...
Day drinking festival, and then we cut it the fuck off when the fun starts.
4 o'clock. That sounds like by 8 o'clock it's going to turn into the homes of people are going to turn into wife beating festivals. Is what it sounds like. 4 o'clock, you're hammered. He's going to be drinking more. For fuck's sake! By 8 o'clock, he's going to be spiking the kids off the wall. Not good. Don't go to this festival. It's a bad timing.
4 hours, get blasted, and release them up on the public.
Bye.
Jeez.
There you go. So crime rate in this town, what we're interested in, of course, is property crime is about double the national average.
Really?
So quite a bit of property crime. And then violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is triple the national average. So
what the hell is happening here?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of young people, so that's who generally does. More crime is committed by younger people just because they have more energy. I mean, older people do plenty of shit, but they don't have the same energy to go out and really rack up the stats. Yeah. That's the thing. They just don't have it in them, I don't think. They're not capable of it.
Triple.
That said, let's talk about a murder. What do you say?
Let's do it.
And
surprised we're talking about a murder right now.
Let's get into it. We're going to talk about a couple of murders here. So let's go back in time to September of 1977.
Okay.
Oh, think about it, Jimmy. September 77, feathered
Must
hair,
have been gross,
blowing in the breeze.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, you pop the T-tops to your Trans Am off, and you just cruise on down the street with
and just get
fog hat blaring,
butterfly collar.
That's collar and all sorts of weird whatever necklaces you're wearing, and you got Boston blaring on the radio. It's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
I saw them in concert post 2010, James.
Why?
Because my mom wanted to go.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a nice thing to do.
It's so much fun.
Well, that's yeah. You know the songs. You're like, I know this shit. Look at that guy. He's 100. This is hilarious.
It's fascinating to see a band like that and be into whatever they're playing. But then you see, like, I don't know, remember the 90s, and you just stand in the crowd and just go, can you believe we're seeing this asshole? That's fucking Tone Loc. Can you believe Tone Loc is playing right now? This is hilarious.
Doing that? Or
right.
Remember that? I remember Sarah, she worked at an ad agency, and she had to, like, do all these ads for Sir Mix-a-Lot at a casino in the middle of Oklahoma.
Yikes.
It's like, it's the middle of Oklahoma. I mean, what are we talking about? I don't know how to draw anybody to any of this shit. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Oklahoma. None of it.
You go to AC/DC or Aerosmith and you're like, this is a memory. This is amazing. But then you see like that shit and you're like, isn't this hysterical that we're doing this?
Yeah. Somebody
we
I know
pissing money away.
Somebody I know went to one of those like Backstreet Boys, whoever combo concerts a few years ago, and it was like half empty. They said it was just sad.
Oh, it was Backstreet and New Kids, I think.
Something, but without Justin Timberlake, I think. Yeah, and it was just
he was
like,
in sync.
He's like, no, I have money. Yeah, I have money. Oh yeah. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm
begging Jessica Biel.
Yeah, I got a bunch of money, so
everything's fine.
Yeah, but there was like half of the audience was there. It was very sad, and the guys were just doing their slow motion moves, just like doing them, but only 2,000 RPMs. They're just down a little bit.
They're doing them with like steak with no seasoning. Speed.
Yeah, they just lost a step. That's all. So, all right, murder again here.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about this. We have to go all the way back to 1977, September 16th, 1977 to be exact. Okay. Bee Gees are blaring. You know how it goes. So, something unfortunate happens, though, this day. There was some land surveyors out in the woods west of Laurel, in some just middle of nowhere land in the west, just west of Laurel, Delaware. And they're looking around, and I don't know why I don't know if there's land has just gotten sold or whatever it is, but
developing it or whatever.
Yeah, that happens. So they were doing it. This is just off the Sussex 504, which is over there, and they the surveyors survey something that they really didn't want to survey. Put it that way. They wanted to see woods, and instead they find I'd say 90% decomposed human body leaning up against a tree.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Pretty much a skeleton at this point, except for some parts
tissue
of this body there. Yeah, it's pretty much a skeleton, though. It's September 16th, so depending on how long it's been here in the mid-Atlantic summer, which is hot.
Whole summer, yeah.
Humid,
and
hot.
It's sitting up against the tree?
It's leaning near a tree, and we'll kind of talk about this here. They're obviously trying to figure this out, but the body is so decomposed, and so they don't even know. They don't know male, female, black, white. They don't know anything. The people who originally find it anyway. Once a medical examiner looks, they can take a look and find male, female, and shit like that. But otherwise, it's just it's a tough thing here. They know nothing about this person here. They do find a dental plate in his mouth, and we'll talk about that. And that's how they end up identifying him. And identifying this person here, and they said that there's no, they can't even when they pull the skeleton out, there's no specific cause of death that they could find right off the bat. They said they're doing postmortem tests. There's no obvious signs of trauma. There's no knife wounds, skull fractures, bullet holes, trauma to the bones. There's nothing that would look. That you would look
at. Skeleton's intact.
Yeah, there's nothing you would look at and go, oh, well, obviously that's what happened. There's a big chunk of the skull missing. That's clearly the problem here. Medical examiner would say that, and this is just for a good fact for us all to know, I guess, the human body, when it decays, goes through a process of putrefaction. Yuck. Which the body, as they put it, literally melts into the ground. That dirt at the base of the tree that they found the skeleton was dark and greasy, a condition characteristic of the process of purification. So in the medical examiner's opinion, whoever this was died while tied to this tree, because this skeleton is also tied to the tree. There are pieces around that we find, and we'll get into all that. So
you said purification. You mean
putrefaction? I said putrefaction. I don't know if I said purification. I apologize.
Rather call it purified.
It's putrefaction, which is just disgusting. And but this is the medical facts of the whole thing and what happens. And this is what happened to this particular human being, and it's not good. So obviously they want to find out who this is, what the fuck happened, and how this person ended up tied to a tree in the woods for long enough to decompose completely. This is, it's an odd thing. So we go back about a month there, a little over a month, about 6 weeks. Go back to August 6th, 1977. And we're going to talk about a few people here. We're going to talk about 6 different people. First, let's start with a man named John M. Horstman. Horstman, Horstman. Horstman. So he is 67 years old John Horstman, and he seems to be pretty spry for his age. He's not like, in the 70s, 67 was old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nowadays, 67 is like, people are like, oh, I'm starting my life over, going back to college, and then I just got married, and, we're planning on adopting. People are they think they're going to live to be 150 now. That's what people do. They just pretend when they're like 73, they just pretend, I'm going to live another 40, 50 years. They're making these long-term plans. It's like, what are you doing? No offense. Live your life and be happy. I'm just saying, like, hey, there's also, reality of you're probably not going to be.
Right. And the life expectancy is dropping fast.
Yeah.
That's number one.
That's for other reasons.
It's fascinating that the appearance of people it's holding up better. Like your dad is in his 70s, looks
60s.
amazing.
He's 65.
Late 60s though, right?
65.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, he looks
in the 80s.
We're Italian though, Jimmy. Our genes are different. You don't get it. It's the olive oil. It's an olive oil thing. You know how it works.
I got a picture of me sitting on my great grandma's lap when she was 75. She looks 126. She looks horrible. That's
older people. Back then, too, people were outside all the time.
Yeah.
Look at a baseball Look at a baseball team from 1927. They all look like they're 53 years old. Every single guy on the field. You're like, Jesus, because they all grew up on a farm in the sun from sun up to sundown. They played nothing but day baseball. They were fucking lines in their faces. They were just leather. People used to be leather.
Has air conditioning and roofs helped us that much?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and moisture. And we realized that you should drink water once in a while and not just whiskey. Things like that. Hydration. Yeah, all these things. We're just, I feel like, living a little better. So, but John is pretty spry. He's got a wife named Flossie. Flossie over here. So she is, they've been together for, forever, years and years and years. They have kids. They have a son named John W, though. He didn't junior him up. So that's good. John W. Horseman. They also have a daughter named Patricia as well. And I think they also, they have a son from Flossie's first marriage as well. So Flossie was apparently married before him. So they have he has a stepson named Jack. And, he's also got 15 grandchildren. He's got 10 great-grandchildren.
My fuck.
They're very fruitful, this family.
Yeah.
He has had a run of bad luck lately, though.
Oh, John.
Old John. It's been tough. He was a very heavy drinker for years and years and years, to the point where he's having liver problems now in his 60s. And but he has been on the wagon for a while now. Through 77. His wife thinks he's been doing great, and Flossie says he's been awesome, and he's been on the wagon here. Since a certain incident happened, he kind of went off. An incident happened a little while back that we'll talk about, and made him kind of go off the whole rails. And then later on, a couple months later, he buckled down and went on the wagon again. And so. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well.
Right.
And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on your, every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
He apparently had liver and other medical problems from drinking, basically. She says, though, he quit drinking about 8 months before August, the beginning of 1977, and he was always home before 6 in the evening after he stopped drinking. All of the craziness went away. Isn't that amazing that happens?
It's bizarre how you can take any sort of illicit substance that generally causes you to be a fucking mess. If it brings you down so far that you're so inebriated you can't function, if you delete that thing from your life, shit goes great.
Isn't it weird? I mean, sometimes it'll go bad in other ways because you were drinking to self-sabotage something or you were self-medicate, whatever. But sometimes it's just like, I stopped that and it's crazy. I don't know. I've just been doing better at work.
That's perfect.
I haven't been arrested in years. It's pretty wild.
Lots of smiles at my house.
Yeah, it's great. My kids don't run in fear for me when I come home. It's wonderful. It's just great. I was reading, by the way, a book. It's so strange how kids... I was reading a book on the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski there, and it's so weird how, like, his kids were scared shitless of him for good reason.
Really?
He's always portrayed, we'll do a bonus episode on some intricate part of that.
Such a great family guy.
He's portrayed as this, like, he is, like, from the Dick Van Dyke Show, like, at home. Like, he comes in, trips over the ottoman, and he's like, hey, everybody, what's for dinner, Mare? And he gives her a kiss. Like, the kids come over, Daddy, how was work? That's how it's portrayed. And then he'd leave the house, and then he'd get in the car and turn into this killer. Show
me a train, Timmy.
He beat the shit out of his wife constantly in front of his kids. He didn't beat his kids. That's what he didn't do. He didn't beat his kids. That was it. Otherwise, he beat his wife. He was terrible. They were all scared shitless of him. He was a fucking monster. But he's portrayed... because he didn't kill his whole family.
Yeah, that's got to be the reason that when he had that grabber in jail, when they called her to ask her permission of what they should do, and she told him, "Don't resuscitate him." Yeah, and they didn't. That's how he died in prison.
Everybody hated him except for his one daughter, which is weird. He had 2 daughters and a son, and the daughters were older, and the one daughter hated his guts, and the other daughter worshipped the ground he walked on.
Wow.
Which is, to this day, that's how it goes. Like, she visited him in jail before he died. She went all the time. She was his rock.
I'm stunned.
It's because, I read more about it. It's because she was sick when she was a kid, and he was always by her hospital bed and all that shit. So that's how it goes. But we'll talk about him on a bonus episode. Never mind all of that. His kids, though, Horstman here, he's been doing well. His wife said during the last 6 months, he's never stayed out one moment. So he's been terrific. By the book. And he had an incident in late 1976 that prompted him to stop drinking because it caused a real escalation of his drinking. Yeah. In late 1976, his son Lewis, Lewis, by the way, was a minister of music at the Christian Life Church in Baltimore and was also a hairstylist.
Okay.
Yeah. In the 70s, he's a director of music and a hairstylist. Yes. So, yes, say, make whatever inference you want in the 70s. We don't know if that's true, but I mean, that's just in the 70s. That's just kind of what you would imagine. And it's not because of the hair, because my grandfather fucking did hair. So it's not that at all.
It's the show tunes and the hairs.
It's the both of those things. Yeah. And then I'll do it at a church. That way I won't, in the 70s, it was different. So he directed the Maranatha Choir at the church, and under his direction, the choir produced 2 albums of church music. Holy shit, this guy is wrecking it. Look at that.
Good at it.
Making albums worth of church music. Good for him. Anyway, he had some problems, though. He he had his own beauty shop in Baltimore, his own salon there. And one night, this is terrible, Jesus Christ. One night, he was found shot to death a few feet from his car at about 6:30 p.m. in Baltimore. Lewis was. He died at the city hospital a little while later. He'd been shot once in the chest, and his wallet was still in his pocket. So,
what the fuck is that about?
Very strange here. Mm-hmm. The person who ends up being charged with the crime is a man named not even a man, a boy named John Sims, who's 16 years old. He is charged with the murder, which is very, very, very strange here.
Do they know each other? Is there any?
It doesn't seem like. He was found. This is what the weird thing is here that I'm wondering what was going on here. He was. This was November 27th, 1976. He was apparently. They ended up catching Sims, by the way, on a O'Donnell Street bridge minutes after the shooting, and he had a long-barreled pistol on him, and they matched ballistics from the gun to the bullet. And Lewis, Sims, the boy there, said he did not remember how he got into the man's car. He said that he was home and lifting dumbbells, and he hit himself in the head with a dumbbell. And then he was in a daze and began wandering. He just wandered out of his house in a daze, and he doesn't remember.
With a gun with him.
Apparently with a gun. He said that after he got out of the car, the other guy, the Horseman Jr. there, Sims said that after he got out of the car, Sims raised the pistol because he thought that Horseman was reaching for a weapon, and he said he raised his pistol and it just fired. He didn't pull the trigger; it just went off. But this gun, the hammer, needed to be cocked before the trigger could be pulled. So you have to do that. So it's fucking. So this guy's found sprawled in the street. They get a description, like we said. They get him right away. In his gun, they had 1 spent cartridge and 4 live bullets in the gun, and Sims also had 17 bullets in his coat pocket.
Wow.
So
I'm never working out ever again, just on the off chance that I hit myself in the head with a dumbbell.
And then wander into the street and shoot a stranger? That seems...
Find myself in the courtroom for murder.
Yeah. He said apparently he got into the car, dazedly got into a car, and the guy was like, what the fuck? And then they got out of the car and he shot him. So he had no idea. Yeah. Now Sims, who is Sims? Is he like some, crazy kid that raises hell? He's a Boy Scout with no previous arrests.
What is happening?
This makes zero sense.
None.
Boy Scout, no arrests. It's not like he just finally was like, fuck it, I need to get some money. They didn't rob the guy, didn't take his jewelry, his wallet, his car, anything. He was sitting there with keys in the car and a wallet in his pocket. He had taken the wallet, the car, and fucking took off. But he didn't. It's the weirdest, strangest,
what a story,
oddest thing ever. We don't know what it was. He said he was just dazed. That's all it was. And said he was gripping the gun tight and it must have went off. Sims ends up getting a 30-year prison term for this shooting. And he says he doesn't remember it.
There's more to that story, and I want all of it.
That's what I'm saying. What the fuck happened here? Like, how? I've never heard of this before. I've read a lot of court. Like I said, I read, for every case we do, I got to read 20, 30 cases or whatever, even more sometimes. So, like, sometimes 100. So I read a lot. I've never heard of this before. No record, no rob. There's literally... You almost believe Sims that he doesn't understand it because there's no other motivation for this. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, crack myself with a dumbbell so I went outside and shot a guy is also a really weird excuse.
How hard are you going in the gym, sir?
It's so strange. So yeah, he that was it though. So now back to John Sr., his father.
That's why you started drinking?
That's why he got bad. That was late November. Mm-hmm. He got real bad for a couple of weeks there through, like, I believe, the holidays. And then it was like he just quit and said, oh, Christ, I'm spinning out of control here. He had liver problems and everything else. So he just quits. And then he's been clean pretty much since the beginning of 1977, as far as his whole family knows and everything like that. I mean, who knows what anybody does, but so August 6th, 1977, about 10 o'clock in the morning, John Horstman leaves his home in Laurel in his pickup truck.
Okay.
Takes off here. It's a camper, like a pickup truck with a camper shell on the back.
It's a 67-year-old man's pickup.
Exactly. What your grandfather's pickup truck? That's the one.
That's what it is.
That's the one there. He said he'd be back in 15 minutes. See you in a minute here. He's going to run to the store quick. And he never ends up coming home. That's the thing. So that's a strange thing that day. So the family said that they heard around town later on that several persons were seen with him and all this sort of thing. So what ended up where he actually went is he leaves his home and he arrives at a place called Lookout Mountain, which is a corner lot in a section of Laurel with nothing on it. And it's a place where people, according to the court documents, quote, where people often gathered to drink. So this is an empty lot in town on a corner somewhere where people just hang out and drink from all around.
Lookout Mountain.
It's Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
But it's not
Everybody's got one.
It's not like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's just in town.
It's in town.
It's just you could go to the grocery store. Oh, there's the drinking crew. Wave to them, kids. Okay. So that's what's going on here. Now he runs into 5 people there. There's a lot more, but these 5 he ends up hanging out with here. One of them is James William Waller, Waller. He is 33 years old. And then there is Eleanor Waller, who is 39 years old, and James's sister. Okay. So those 2 are hanging out. Shirley Mae Pryor is 33 years old, and she's with this crew. And then George W. Gray, who is 35 years old, hanging out with this crew. So that's the crew so far. And with them, for some reason, I don't know why, he's of no relation to any of these people, is a young man named Bobby A. Anderson, who is 14 years old.
Yeah.
Why is he hanging out with a bunch of people who are drinking in a corner lot in the middle of town at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Mid-30s people.
Mid-30s people who are, their lives obviously are not going well if they're drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning just out in the open in a lot.
Is this a weekday too? Why isn't this 14-year-old in fucking school?
That's a really good, well, he's a migrant farm worker, this 14-year-old. Okay. He's bouncing around. So there's a lot going on here that I don't know if this has to do with the 70s or what, but I don't want this 14-year-old hanging out with these people that are sitting in a lot drinking in their mid-30s at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They're not even hopeful that something better will happen during the day. They're like, fuck it. By 10 a.m., I give up.
Yeah.
I give up to the point of being drunk and I can't do anything now. So,
and it's mid-70s, so nobody's got a phone on them going,
fuck
just
no.
waiting on Better Life to ring. You know what I mean?
That's the better life. Want to meet there? And then they just sit there.
They've given up on opportunities to come a call in. They've gone to a corner lot to be drunk at 10 a.m.
Between this and the festival, like, what is it with early drinking in Delaware? You guys get your drinking done early and get it over with. No drinking after dark in this town, God damn it.
Day is for drinking.
If you drink during the day when God can see you, it's all right. That's how it works. If God
doing
can
it
see
under
you
the cover of darkness, all that shame,
all that hiding, you get shit hammered before 4:30 in the winter. That's what you got to do, or else it ain't gonna work. So Bobby Anderson hanging out with 4 people. Where I have no idea why, and I'd love to know why.
Yeah.
So, and these people aren't the people he's hanging out with here. These aren't the most upstanding group of citizens. Obviously, it's not like I was CEO of a corporation, and I'm off this week, so I'm going to head to the lot at 10 a.m. to get shit-faced on Thunderbird with the rest of the crew. Like, I feel like that's not probably happening. And one of the guys...
Is there a prize for being earliest? Like 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. You have to get a good spot, I guess. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of lawn chairs going in there. I don't know what's up with this shit.
That is unbelievable. The bank just opened.
Yeah, you're already drinking in a field. Field drinking is for later, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is early. You can put it in your coffee or something. Try to look presentable at least. At least give it a shot. You know, put it in a coffee cup and walk around and blow on. Go every once in a while and just blow on it. Act like it's not booze. At least try. So, fuck, man. So one of the people, especially, is definitely an unsavory character. James Waller, the one with the sister. The 33-year-old here. He is reported to use at least 8 aliases. 8.
At 33?
8. Let's look at his stats for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. 33 plus 8 aliases divided by 10 o'clock in the morning plus or times Mad Dog 2020. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about those numbers, Jimmy. They add up to something really bad. It's
minus
bad.
a job.
Minus
plus,
a job.
Handyman work.
Yeah. Plus a lawn chair. That's plus a 14-year-old that you're somehow in your crew.
Yikes.
Add those numbers up and you get an equation. If I put my hold on. I got to put my lab coat on for a minute. There we go. You have
do this math.
This man is a fuck up, Jimmy. That's what came out of the computer. I'm sorry. I input all the information. This is what I got out of it. So,
it comes out. Shitbag fuck up.
You know this. It's a $20 million computer. That's it's very, very complex, and it's
called a Patreon.
It's the Patreon. Yeah, the Patreon 7000. That's wonderful. So the James here, 8 aliases. He has also been convicted of what they describe as various charges, most of the military charges, because he was in the military, and including, this isn't like, falling asleep or, some disobedience. Rape is one of them. Escape from prison is one of them. That's, by the way, another 2 things to add to the equation. When you add in escape and rape, those are scary together, because that means he got out, and who knows what he's after at that point. And a bunch of probation violations as well. But just that's a deep enough rap sheet for me where I don't think he should be hanging out with a 9th grader at that point.
It's crazy that conviction for rape and you can still be on the streets in your 30s. Like,
oh yeah, especially back then. That was like, Christ, what do you give him, 3 years? It was like nothing back then. It was fucking nuts.
That is awful.
It was considered like not a huge deal back then somehow.
It wasn't considered
legally
as violent as it is now.
Exactly, yeah, because we know more about the psyche behind it now, and we know. I think it's also. Well, we know that a person who can do that is more dangerous than just that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like back then it was like, well, he was horny and she was wearing a short skirt. I mean, obviously we don't want it to happen, but I mean, what the fuck? Yeah. Whereas now it's like, that's dangerous. That person, it's a pattern that escalates, and then you're Ted Bundy. So let's not snip that in the bud.
I don't think it speaks to what that really consists of by boiling it down to 4 letters and 1 syllable. It is so much worse than 4 letters and 1 syllable.
It's fucking hideous. It's absolutely hideous.
That's what the charge should be. He is charged with hideous, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's a hideous crimes against humanity. This is fucking horrific.
It should be at minimum 3 fucking syllables, whatever it is.
Something. Give us a Latin name, and we'll use that. Something long, because that's awful shit. Yeah. So he entered the military. I've never heard of this either. He entered the military under an assumed name. He didn't even enter How do you do that? You get a fake Social Security card back then is how you do it. And there's no computers, so they just go, that sounds good. What's your name, son? And you give them the card, and they go, all right. And they write it down. They give you a uniform probably back then, right? Start shooting you up with start. Let's get you protected against malaria, and then move you on. I think that's just what it was back then.
Get on the plane, son. But he was in his 30s in the 70s, so he was old enough to go to Vietnam, James.
There you go. So they probably were just like, what's your name? Good enough. There you go.
Yeah. Get in.
Out there. Under an assumed name, and but the fucked up part is he was convicted of the various other charges under different names.
Wow.
That's the fucked up thing. He would change his idea within the military. He was like 3 different people.
How do you do that?
I don't know, but he was convicted of rape under one name, and then he was convicted of something else under another name. Like That's not okay. He had a bunch of different identities. Now, on everybody else, I tried to do some research. The only thing I could find on anybody else in this group is in 1955, young Shirley May here was a victim of rheumatic fever. And, apparently she got really sick. It was her. She was 11 at the time. And a bunch of other people here, a bunch of other young girls were very, very sick. And they were getting to go to a camp because they were sick.
It's called an internment camp, James.
The 5 were selected after examinations were made of cardiac children desiring to attend summer camp to determine their physical tolerance to the campers' daily schedule. They're like an experiment, basically. Like, well, these kids were sick. Let's see how they do.
The good news is you're going to camp. The bad news is you've got rheumatoid. What is it?
Rheumatoid, some shit that doesn't exist anymore.
Fever?
Rheumatoid, some shit that you get shots for before you go to kindergarten. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Rheumatic fever.
Rheumatic fever.
Which sounds like something you die of on the Oregon Trail. And then,
it does. Sounds like something you get when a mosquito bites you.
Yeah. Oh, man, I got rheumatic fever. That mosquito must have been from
Jesus.
Down yonder. So back to August 6, 1977, we have a 14-year-old hanging out with a bunch of ne'er-do-well adults.
Shouldn't be. Yeah.
So they're all there, like we said. Gray, Waller, Pryor, Waller's sister, Eleanor, and little Bobby Anderson, all there. Now, they've all been drinking already as of 10 a.m. Like, they're not just cracking their first bottle. You're not hearing, like, the clink of, like, the, bottle top cup. They've been going for a while now.
Oh, my God.
Everybody except for Anderson, the 14-year-old.
Okay.
So he hasn't devolved to drinking in a field pre-noon yet. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Maybe Bobby just thinks it's funny to hang out with these idiots and see the dumb shit they do at 10 a.m.
I mean, maybe. It seems like from our next thing, it seems like he was looking up to these people. So Horstman shows up, and he's mingling among the crew. This is a social outing, apparently. This seems like something you do very sadly without speaking at 10 a.m., right?
A lot of head nods and downward, not up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, someone just goes... And then you just nod along and you go, yep, buddy, maybe that. I hear you, pal. Something. I don't know. It's very sad. So,
me too.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Your wife fuck your best friend too? Yep. That's right. So a person that Horstman is talking to introduces him to Gray and Waller, who are sitting there, George Gray and James Waller. Like, hey, I know these two guys, blah, blah, blah. So they talk for a second. Then Gray introduces Horstman to the rest of the crew there, the other 3. And this is Shirley, Eleanor, and, of course, little Bobby. Yeah. So it wouldn't be a band without little Bobby, of course.
He's singing the soprano over here still, so...
This is like a bad 70s family band is what this is. A Partridge Family gone wrong.
Let me introduce you to our secret weapon, the soprano Bobby. There he is.
There he is. He comes out. I'll be there. He's like... He sings like an angel. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. This is sad shit. So they're all hanging out. They're all talking. And, the Horseman's getting along with this crew here. And anyway, they all decide they're running low on liquor, obviously. I mean, it's 10 a.m. We've been at it for hours. So they decide that Horseman says, well, I was going to get some liquor too. I'm going to head over to this liquor store. If you guys want to come with me, more the merrier. Hop on in. Yeah. So they go to Delaware, where there's a liquor store, and they bought cigarettes, 2 6-packs of beer, some orange juice, and a big bottle of vodka, of course.
Oh.
So
you got options.
You were like, all right, beer and cigarettes and orange juice. They're just going to ease into the day. Oh, no. The orange juice
Screwdrivers and Budweiser? Let's do this.
The orange juice
party
is
at one.
most certainly a mixer at this point. Nothing for health. Well, I need some vitamin C, so I guess I'll do screwdrivers.
They didn't get the orange juice for Bobby? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's, we got this and then orange juice for Bobby. Wait, never mind, Bobby. Not so fast. So,
in that.
So they get in the car and they're hanging out, driving and drinking. And I don't even know how to, this is the weirdest thing ever. James Waller says to Horstman while they're driving, he's like, well, hey, buddy, what you think of my sister? And Horstman's like, she's mighty fine. I guess she's okay. And he's like, you could have her.
Is he selling him?
He is pimping his sister now. James Waller has decided to pimp his. I don't know which identity is doing it, but one of the 8 identities he has is pimping out his sister at this point. So they're driving. Horseman in the driver's seat. Eleanor, the sister, is in the middle, and James is by the window. So
he leans across.
He's
to
talking
offer her. Yeah.
Yes, they're talking about selling her past her face. One's turning and she's standing. What, does she just look straight ahead while this is going on, or is she like chiming in? Like, yep, I'm hot for you. There's no problem. Or is it like, you could have my sister, and he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think of me?
They start haggling.
Nice. He said, I'm nice.
He said, it seems fine to me. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say. And then the rest of it here, Gray and Shirley Mae Pryor and Bobby Anderson were in the back of the truck in the enclosed camper.
Yeah. That's a fun place to ride.
Yeah, they're sliding all around there.
Yeah.
So
hit with toolboxes.
And little Bobby's bouncing back and forth. So they're all sitting up there, and he told Horstman that, they're talking about it, and he said, tell you what, buddy, because Horstman said, well, how much? I guess once he gets drinking, anything's on the table now.
Yeah.
And Waller says, Jesus Christ, you could have her for $10.
How's about $10? How's that sound to you?
How's $10 fair? Hold on. Can you scoot your head back, sweetie? Yeah, $10 isn't bad. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, in that situation, you're getting your $10 because nobody's going to look at her sitting right next to you and go, how about $8?
Yeah. How about $6.50? I got some quarters in the ashtray here. I'm going to grab those out.
Right to her left ear.
You can have her for that's his starting point, $10? He didn't even say like 50, and he was like, that's outrageous. All right, fine, 10. Like, he started at 10, meaning they're willing to take less.
Yeah.
That's what that means. $10. Ladies, how'd you like to be sold by your brother to a man you just met in a parking lot where people gather to drink in the morning?
Right.
For $10. How'd you like that to be? How's that sound, ladies? Everybody
for a 1970s carton of cigarettes.
Wow, $10. And at this point, Horstman was running his hand up and down her leg, like feeling out the $10 merchandise. Feeling out the like I don't know. He's kicking the tires, I guess. This is insanity. I feel bad for this woman, for fuck's sake. At this point, horrible. This sounds horrible. So they keep driving. They make 2 different stops for supplies, one at the liquor store and one somewhere else. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this hero bread is a good
terrific.
step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
This is after the whole, offer and the acceptance of everything. I can't get over the fact that he's selling his sister in front of his sister for $10. I can't get over that fact. I could see if she wasn't sitting there and he was like this scumbag trying to make a deal, but like she's right there, apparently not objecting, agreeing, or anything. She's just sitting there like, yep, this is what happens.
This is what happens next.
This is how it goes. Like, this is crazy. So, anyway, Eleanor tells Horstman that, we'll get it on, no worries. I just got to get out of the truck for a second because I got to pee. So, we can't be, whatever. So apparently they stopped while they're in the truck. Apparently they come to a stop now to do this. And this is out kind of in the woods in the middle of nowhere here. And the Eleanor getting out of the truck is apparently the signal to Waller that Horstman has money and this is the time to rob him. So they've worked this out ahead of time without speaking. So that means that they've done this before. Yeah. This is a thing they've done before. We hang out, I pretend to sell you, you go to the bathroom and I take the guy's money. So this is like on Deadwood, basically, like that whole storyline. Remember what's her name when her brother came in and remember that whole thing?
Look at me. I can barely remember those 6 characters.
Anyway.
And we're discussing them right now.
We're in the middle of it, pal. Yeah. So Horstman stops the truck for this. Waller exits on the passenger side and goes around the truck to the apparently when he's going around the truck, Waller said to somebody, quote, "What I do is my business," as he got around the tailgate. The people in the back were saying something to him. He said, "What I do is my business." And that's on the way to the driver's side. And Waller gets to the driver's side of the truck, opens the door, and tells Horstman to move over. I'm driving now. Okay, so tells him to move over. He said, "No, I'm not fucking moving over. It's my truck." Old men don't let you drive their trucks. Like that's
it's true.
I'm driving my truck.
Thing.
Yeah. So Waller said, "All right," and he punched him twice in the side of the head.
Oh.
He drills Horseman in the side of the head. And he's
go ahead and drive my truck.
I guess here's the keys. Third gear sticks a little bit. I don't know what to tell you.
Don't smoke the clutch.
Yeah, I don't know. So he's bleeding from the head, actually, from this Horseman is from these shots. Yeah. And this guy has experience in all things criminal, so it makes sense. Waller then jumps into the driver's seat and drives the truck through a nearby field. Okay, pulls off the road, drives through a nearby field into a wooded area where he tells John Horseman to get out of the truck. So now it's get out of the truck, okay? Everybody gets out of the truck now. Everybody disembarks, or deplanes at this point.
Yeah, deplanes, yeah.
They all deplane.
Yep.
And Horseman, at this point, bleeding from the head, said, quote, "Please don't hurt me. I'll give you anything you want, but please don't hurt me." So, rob me all you want, but, this is crazy here. We're in the fucking woods. What's going on? So Waller again hits him over the left eye. Hits him now over the left eye, punches him again for some reason. Please stop means punch me in the eye, obviously. So now George Gray comes over and holds Horseman's arms, like behind his back. Like, I don't know if it's a full Nelson or the other way or whatever, but this guy's like 67 with liver problems, so I don't think it's going to take too much force to really subdue him. While he does this, Waller goes through Horseman's pockets, and Horseman's he's a house painter.
Right.
He's a 67-year-old house painter that still works. Like, he's not a rich guy or anything like that, but they go through his pockets while the two ladies and Bobby Anderson stand by there. This is fucking crazy. They end up robbing him of $140. Wow. That's what they get off him. He's got $140 in cash on him. So he could have gone higher than $10. Let's just say that.
It could have gone upwards of 140, James.
Yeah. So at this point, Waller tells George Gray to go back to the pickup truck. Okay, go back to the truck. You think to get something, but it's no. He says to, quote, wipe it of fingerprints.
Oh.
Which, if you're a Horseman, you don't like where this is going.
No.
When people get rid of fingerprints, that means that they're A, experienced criminals, and B, they must not want their fingerprints there for a reason, because they're going to do bad shit. So
they're about to do way worse than punch an old man in the eye.
Yeah. So fuck, man. At this point, Waller. So George Gray goes back. He's on wiping duty. Waller, Bobby Anderson, Shirley Mae Pryor, and Eleanor Waller, the merchandise, we'll call her from here on out.
Eleanor the merchandise
Waller, you know her. They led Horseman to a tree in the woods. Mm-hmm. And Anderson said Waller told Anderson to go get George Gray's shirt. Go get his shirt to, quote, tie up Mr. Horseman here. So we're going to tie him up. So it's at this point where Gray comes over. Gray kicks Horseman twice, gives him 2 solid kicks, apparently. And, wow. Then they debated what they were going to do to him. Gray wanted to hang him. That was what he said. That was his idea. He said, well, let's hang him. We got all these trees here. Let's just hang him. What do you say? And that'll be quick and easy. Yeah. And then they finally decided on, let's not hang him, but we'll tie him to a tree instead. Let's just tie him to this tree, and we'll figure it out from there. Okay. So they end up doing that. They tie him. They direct him to kneel against a tree with his back to it. So if you can picture that. So kind of with
like
your feet.
Like a wall sit.
Yeah, exactly. He tells him to do that. His feet were tied on the other side of the tree. So his feet are around the tree. So you got to picture that. Back against the tree. So your feet have to have somewhere to go if you're on your knees. They go that way. Yeah, and they go, like you're on your knees.
God, you're wrapped around the tree.
Wrapped around the trees there with a belt. He ties his ankles with a belt. So binds his ankles behind there. His hands were then tied in front of him at the wrists with another belt, and his elbows, his wrists, they were tied with another belt at the wrists, and then his elbows were pulled back at his sides. So he couldn't, do anything with his hands because his elbows were pulled back. They were pulled back at his sides, and a shirt looped through them around the tree. So he was he couldn't move.
Yikes, man.
He had his hands bound. Can everyone see this in your head? Hands bound.
That's awful.
Elbows back, so your hands are against your chest with your arms, so you can't move, and you can't move your legs because they're tied around a tree.
Not real comfortable. That's the worst way to be tied up.
This is the least comfortable position I've ever. When they burn people at the stake, they would fucking put them in a more comfortable position than this.
James, I would venture to say that being crucified is more comfortable.
I was debating whether to go there, but yes, I would say yes. It sounds better.
Yeah, this is like being on a cannibal island and spit roasted. This is how they would tie you. This is crazy.
This is like CIA black site interrogation. This is like they took you to Turkmenistan and they're going to find out when the bomb's going to go off. And then this is fucking crazy. They're going to start waterboarding any second here. So then if that's not bad enough, they then place a gag in his mouth as well.
Yeah.
And tie it behind his head, and a shirt. Then they use a shirt to blindfold him, another piece of the shirt. What they do is they blindfold, put the shirt over his face, and then tie that around the tree so his head is pinned to the tree as well.
Oh, shit.
So he's completely pinned to this fucking tree, which is,
he's part of the tree now.
He's part of the tree, and he's been basically commandeering. Waller's been commandeering clothing from people, taking this guy's shirt, give me that, I need your sleeve, stuff like that to make this makeshift shit here. So while he's tied up is when Gray kicks him twice for some reason. He's a real threat while he's tied up. So at that point, they use socks as well at one point. Socks, a handkerchief, belts, whatever they could find because they needed to gag him.
They're all coming out of the woods naked.
Yeah, they said that the handkerchief was the gag, and they said it was so he wouldn't scream. It was James Waller's idea. Anderson said, I think James Waller did that. He said so he couldn't see, then placed the shirt over his face there, which is... Fuck, man. Pretty goddamn interesting here. So after they do all of this, they walked away from the tree. They just walked away. And they could hear him. He was trying to plead to them to don't leave him tied to a fucking tree, please. He can't get out of it, and he's stuck there. So, but they just walk away. They leave him there, and they went to Laurel. And stopped after a couple miles, so Anderson and Gray could hide some of Horstman's personal belongings that they stole, and they removed all this shit, and that's how they did. They sped off, and that's how it went. So Waller's driving, like we said, they drove to an area near Portsville, Delaware. That's when they removed a bunch of personal items from the truck and got rid of it. But what they did is Waller stops and instructs Anderson and Gray to take some shit and go hide him in the woods. They take the stuff, go hide him in the woods, and Waller speeds away in the truck and leaves him there. He ditched him. You don't ditch accomplices of this nature.
No.
So Waller drives away with Eleanor Waller, his sister, and Shirley Mae Pryor, and they go all the way to Salisbury, Maryland, and they get on a bus to Philadelphia from there. And Anderson and Gray walked back several miles to Laurel.
Sucker.
Where do you think they went, Jimmy?
To the bar.
Lookout Mountain. The bar. That's a little too classy for these guys.
They went back to Lookout Mountain.
Lookout Mountain, here I come. Where Gray continued to drink as he had started to do before. He's like, now what was I doing before I was interrupted? Fucking ridiculous.
He's like he's like Walter in The Big Lebowski, where he's like, fuck it, let's go bowling. He just told the kid, fuck it, let's go drinking. And the kid's like, I don't drink. He's like, well, I do.
Want to watch me do it? All right, then. Maybe we'll come across a good piece of $10 tail. You never know, son. The other three, though, when they got to Philly, they went to a bar. Right to a bar and started drinking.
They've got $140. Yeah.
Oh, a 2-hour Greyhound ride and a bunch of it's a lot of booze back then.
Yeah.
So Gray though, he was pissed because he said he wanted to find the other 3 because he didn't get any of the money.
He got nothing out of it.
He's like, they didn't give me shit, and he was interested in getting his cut. Basically, where's my fucking cut? So now Bobby Anderson said before he was ditched, and he thought maybe this is why they ditched him, that Anderson told Waller that he wanted to call the police. He goes, can't we just stop at like a payphone and call the police and tell them where he is? Like they won't know it's us. We'll just be like, hey, there's a guy in the woods. You might want to go untie him, shit like that. Right. And he was told, quote, if you do, I'll kill you, by Waller. So, or I'm sorry, by Gray. That was by Gray, because this was after they got dropped off. He's asked Gray, and Gray was like, I'll fucking kill you. So that was that. A couple weeks later, Anderson goes to Gainesville, Florida, where he lives normally. He was just here doing some work. Back to Gainesville. So the next morning, Flossie Horstman, John's wife, is sitting at home going, said he was leaving for 15 minutes at 10 a.m. yesterday, and he never came back. So she thought maybe he went on a bender again, because this happens. Who knows? This is like a very Tracy on Love After Lockup.
Yeah.
She's back at the house going, motherfucking booze, and throwing her phone. So, no, this poor woman, though, I mean, she's at home not knowing what's going on, not knowing if he's out on a bender, if
Who knows?
He drove off the road and his truck's wrapped around a tree. She has no idea. So she's very worried, and she calls the state police and files a missing person report, and they begin investigating it. And it's not long before they find his abandoned truck. They find that in Salisbury, Maryland.
At the bus station?
No, actually, in the parking lot at the Purdue Chicken Processing Plant.
Really?
Yep. They just found like some big parking lot probably, and it's a big industrial thing, and they just pulled it in there. No one will notice it here. And they do, because those places usually have security. Oh, it's got to stink.
That's terrible.
This stinks the right amount. Leave it here. On to Philly. Wow. So that's what happens there. And that was on August 8th, but it's just a truck. There's nothing in there. There's no indication. It's not like it's covered in blood, or there's it's just a truck sitting there. They're like, what's up with that? And nobody finds it until September 16th. So the hot Delaware, southwestern Delaware's hot.
Yeah.
It's fucking hot in the summer. So from August 6th to September 16th, he sat against that tree.
Oh, God.
He sat against that tree and just decomposed quickly. Animals, everything else. Can't
imagine you'd live long in that position against a tree. I don't think you'd even starve to death. It would suffocate you, right?
Because the elements wouldn't take you. I don't even know how you would die. That's a horrible way to die. It's a torturous way to die.
I'd rather be shot in the face.
Oh, by far. Who the fuck wouldn't? This is horrible. This is very, very bad here.
And what do the cops think? Like he just ran into this chicken processing plant and like jumped into a depucker or some shit?
Yeah, that's it. He couldn't take it anymore. The loss of his son made him want to become just parts, man. Thighs and wings. And so, speaking of that, when they find him, I shouldn't have said the word parts now. Now I feel bad. Yeah. When they find him, his remains are in 2 parts.
Oh, no.
Okay. The lower torso, he's a top and a bottom at this point.
Yeah. Below the spine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because think about it, the other was tied to a tree, so the other the bottom just fell off. The lower torso was in a pair of pants still. It was just a skeleton in a pair of pants. And the upper torso was still in his shirt. Still in his shirt. The remains were approximately 13 feet from a maple tree that was about 6 inches in diameter, which is that's where they found several things tied to it. Okay. So when the body rotted, it fell off. It slid out probably, and then animals have pulled it, I assume, away a little bit here. And lying in the immediate area by the tree was a man's belt and several other pieces of clothing. At the base of the tree was the dental plate where they found the inscription eventually of J. Horstman. Okay. And anything that is installed into your mouth, you can probably assume that that's a good place to find a name. And it's
really, anywhere, anything that's put in your body has like some sort of attachment to it on some paperwork somewhere.
Exactly. So even back then, they had that. They at least wrote his name on the goddamn thing, or inscribed it in there or whatever. So they talked to his wife, and she tells him about it. He was a heavy drinker, and then he wasn't, and then he just took off, and don't know what the fuck happened. And they're pretty goddamn clueless about this. They cannot establish a cause of death for him. They can't find it. They said the medical examiner's office did all this shit. Like I said, no obvious signs of trauma. There's been putrefaction, but no trauma. Dr. Judith Tobin, who was the deputy state medical examiner, said that he may have died because of the gag in his mouth. That's a possibility.
Suffocation. That
might have been like kind of not enough to suffocate him completely, but over time it could weaken his breathing enough, so that's possible. They said she couldn't determine exact cause of death because the advanced state of the decomposition made it difficult. She was called later on, and they said the death could have come from the gag. Not sure, but they did say, based on the seepage into the ground of a decomposing body, that they are very sure that Horstman did die at the tree. So he died on the tree and rotted there. So this sounds, we've had a lot of bad deaths of people cutting people up and chopping people's heads off and all this crazy shit.
Top 3.
This is as bad of a death, for the victim,
absolutely, that
I can think of. And it's cowardly.
Apart from the ones that were like raped and set on fire in a bed while they were still alive.
Yeah.
This is as bad.
It's getting there. This is torture. This is torture.
Absolutely.
And this is like the ultimate omission bias. Like, if I just leave him there, then I didn't kill him and it's fine.
I didn't do nothing.
It's a really cowardly thing to do. It
chicken
really
shit,
is.
yeah.
It's chicken shit. It's
Truly.
You don't just leave someone out there. I don't know if they thought I'm sure he'll wiggle out of it eventually, and once he does, we better be in Philly, so when they start giving descriptions of us, we're not here. Right. I don't know if that's what it was, or it was like, fuck him, he'll die. There was no, he couldn't get himself out of this shit, and there was nobody who was going to find him out there to help him. So and he couldn't even yell and scream. Right. They said that there was evidence in the area that pointed to a homicide, obviously, and they said the family said the police gave them no cause of death, so they didn't get anything, more than that. All they found out was that he was seen leaving the Town and Country store alone the day he went on an errand, but was soon seen with quote some other people. Mm-hmm. So the families thought from asking around maybe he had been abducted. The police and the Sun say there's no way that he could have abandoned his truck in Salisbury and then walked to the woods all the way out there and died.
And then tied himself up.
Tied himself to a tree.
Right.
It's difficult. It's difficult. So what ends up happening is, through some grapevine shit, because they go talk to all the alcoholics on the corner, and they all say, he was talking to this one, these people drove away with him. Not the most reliable witnesses, but you might be able to find people who are drinking before noon aren't usually, who knows if they've been up for 2 days.
They don't have their wits about them to really give a detailed description of what happened. But what they do have is reliability in saying, I did see that man. Yeah. and he was with these people. Yeah. After that, it doesn't matter, because then you've got at least somebody to go connect him to.
Exactly. And that's what they ended up finding, somebody that would say, that guy that came in the truck, the old guy, he left with George, I think, right? Yeah, George. Uh-huh. So you should talk to George. Maybe he's seen him. So they talked to George Gray, and he's brought in for questioning. And it takes basically no time for him to completely fold and say exactly what they did, and even offer to take the police to the area of the woods where he was killed, and where they hid items from his truck. So, I mean, he was like, I'll give it to you all. You can have it. It's all good.
All I want out of this is $10.
That's it. $10. That's it. I'm still looking for that $10. He admitted that they went to the woods. He admitted they robbed him. He said that he lent his shirt to Waller to tie him up. He even said that he helped Waller tie him up. So he's even putting himself in everything that he did. It was a lot for it. I mean, they were like, okay, well, I guess
he doesn't know that this is a murder.
No, I don't think he does.
Knows. There's no way he's connected already that they're like, there was a murder there. And he's just going, oh, we tied the man up and we left. No big deal.
I'm not sure he knows about exactly how this is developed.
Right.
Yeah, so they end up busting everybody else, and I'll tell you how in a second because it's pretty goddamn funny. Now, Eleanor Waller, the merchandise, as she's known on the street.
The $10 gash.
That's right. She's... And Shirley Pryor, they end up like immediately pleading guilty to second-degree murder. They don't...
Really?
Yeah, they give them kind of a break on this, too, with the sentencing, as we'll talk about later on. And the others are, everybody else is arrested, like we said. Waller, when he's arrested, only a month and a half has gone by. It's not like it's been 5 years. He's, at that time, serving a sentence at Lewisburg for that.
He's already rocked up for something else.
He's already, for his escape conviction, because he was apparently out on escape. That's where he was. He was escaped from military prison while he was out.
Wow.
Yeah, this whole time he's been an escapee from a military prison.
Unbelievable.
So, not wonderful here. So he's already
the kind of person I expect to be day drinking on a street corner somewhere.
Yeah, someone escaped from Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. Yeah. Absolutely. Fuck, man. They found Waller when the Bureau of Prisons in Washington ran all 8 aliases through its computer. And they figured at least 3-4 of them were over in this place, so they might want to go take a look over there. So he's brought into Delaware and questioned. And Waller and Gray are both charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and robbery.
Wow.
Which is heavy. Those are heavy fucking charges. They face death by hanging if convicted.
Oh, 70 Delaware. You do it right.
Death by hanging. We do it something. We do it. It gets done anyway. I wouldn't call it right probably, but it's done.
You do it scary.
Wow. That's maybe why Eleanor and Pryor pleaded. They're like, wow, second degree? Great. Sounds good. So they finally get down to Gainesville and also arrest Bobby A. Anderson, who is still 14 years old. Anderson was just a migrant worker, was in the area doing farm work at the time of the killing here. He's extradited also back to Delaware. And so they end up talking to James Waller 5 days after they discover Horstman. And they talk to him, and Waller signs a statement completely incriminating himself concerning the whole thing. Also signs a voluntary consent to search without warrant, consenting to a search of his belongings that are held, by the cops, what he had when he was arrested, basically. The purpose of the search was to find a Timex watch, which had been owned by Horstman and which Waller admitted to having taken. So he said, I took it. So, yeah, you can search and you'll find it in my shit, basically. So they conduct the search and get the watch the next morning, September 22nd. So now Waller later on, he's going to say that after the interview, he rethought about the consent, which he had given, and he wanted to withdraw the consent for the search. Okay. So he said, I thought about it once I went down there, and I said no, but he said he was unable to do so because he couldn't get a hold of the Delaware police. Because, he's in jail.
Right.
So,
there's no phone in here.
Yeah, no shit. So the following day, Waller says that the police should have contacted him to determine if he still consented to the search. Because, he said because they didn't do so and he didn't want them to search, that shouldn't count, obviously, because they didn't ask him, hey, you sure about that thing you said yes to yesterday? And he didn't get a chance to say, no, I'm not cool with it anymore, guys.
Hey, we got this duffel bag. We're about to open it. I got my hand on the zipper. You sure about this?
That's what he wanted, pretty much, yeah. That's what he wanted. And
okay.
Yeah, this is a shit that's already in police custody, by the way. Right. This isn't like I have a mountain house that my grandmother owned, and if you go in the basement behind the furnace, there's a fucking drawer, and you open it, and then her head's in there. That's not...
This shit's cataloged into a machine somewhere because they have to keep track of it in case you say we broke something.
It's literally in his list of belongings. That's why That's why it's not a big deal to search it. He admitted he had it. It's in his list of belongings, and they were like, "Well, can we go get it?" And they were like, "He's like, yeah, I guess. Obviously, you're going to get a warrant otherwise." It's not like they couldn't get a warrant to get it if they want one. They just said,
already have it.
Can we skip the judge and just go to this? Do you consent? So, later on, though, a court will decide a brief lapse of time between the consent and the search does not require a reaffirmation of the consent, which, is another thing they said. Stupid. Yeah. So they said that it was written and signed and authorized a search specifically for the watch in question. And he knew what he was doing, and the police did not go beyond the limited scope of consent in the search. Only one search was conducted, and only the watch was looked for and taken. That's what the search warrant wasn't like. We're looking for other shit. It was, we are looking for a Timex watch. It was listed. He signed the consent form at 4 p.m. on September 21st, and the officers reported there at 10 a.m. the following day and had to wait 2 hours before they were presented with the watch. So it was from 4 p.m. to noon the next day there. So they said the reason why, they said that he should have definitely been re-asked again. I mean, you know how it is. So he says he had no way to contact the police. This is fucking ridiculous. A 20-hour delay between consent and search? Uncalled for. The court says, no, it's cool. You're fine. So now Bobby A. Anderson, he ends up pleading guilty as well. He pleads guilty to delinquency second-degree murder because he's a child. So he's tried as a child.
Okay.
It's called delinquency second-degree murder. Apparently that's when you do it if you're a kid, which makes it sound way less than murder when you put delinquency on it.
Yeah, but I'm confused why. I feel like there's got to be more to his role in this, because at that point you have a 14-year-old who's very easily influenced, and people that are goddamn almost 40 telling him what to do and taking him with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's on the road. Too. He's getting out-of-state work at 14.
Farm work, migrant farm work at 14.
Up the coast, James, past the Carolinas.
He's not like playing in the U.S. Open or anything. He's doing migrant farm work. He's not like playing minor league hockey.
This kid's on the road doing farm work. He is. I didn't know there was road farm work. That's incredible.
The migrant farm. That's why they're called migrant farm workers. They move from place to place where the work is. So that's what he did.
Unbelievable.
Well, the reason he pleads guilty for this, he's 15 by the time he pleads guilty, is he's sentenced to, you young man may fuck off, he's sentenced to an indefinite term at the Ferris School for Boys, which is a reformatory, but by law, he cannot be held past the age of 19. So no matter what, he's out by 19. Yeah. So essentially, they sentenced him to a maximum of 4 years in a reform school, basically.
Dear God, if there is one and you're answering at this point, I hope that kid is okay. I hope he didn't go to this reformatory and it fucked him up and he's just on the road to in cyclical prison for the rest of his life. This is crazy.
And if he didn't have such a common goddamn name and no real set place that he lives, I could find out that. But I tried, and there's a lot of Robert Andersons out there in the world.
There?
Shockingly, yes. Tons of them. And especially if you don't know what goddamn state they would reside in.
Right.
Because he wasn't an adult then, so none of that shit was on the record. I don't know what he did later on. Yeah. Very difficult. So, he pleads in family court there. And they also ordered the facility to file a report with the court before it releases the boy. So they want to be the court wants to be notified because the school, I guess, that he's being sent to, school in quotes, it's a juvenile facility, they get to decide when he's released.
It's a molestation factory.
Basically, it's a diddle factory is what they call it. It's a house of diddle, I believe. Yeah, that's that's bad.
House of diddle.
Go into the house of diddle. Not good. Never mind the house of the rising sun. The house of the lower diddle is what you don't want.
House of the bleeding sun.
Oh God, not good.
No.
That's bad. Yes, we made molestation jokes, and we can only do that because why, Jimmy? Tell them.
Well, because I'm molested.
There you go. Jimmy can make all the molestation jokes he wants, and all I'm doing, because he had it horribly, and I'm, as a friend and as a supporter, propping up whatever makes him feel better, because
James supports me making fun of, and you know what? It's not even. It's calling it out.
We're making fun of the people doing it, not the
systemic molestation in those fucking places.
Exactly.
It's horrible,
and it's the people doing it, and we're making light of it because what else the fuck are we supposed to do? And we're uncomfortable talking about some 14-year-old getting sent to a diddle factory.
How can you? It's such a bummer that that's what our court system did. Pushed kids. It just fed the monster.
Yeah, no, that's
so
they were too much power given over children to people that maybe shouldn't have had that kind of power here.
So awful.
They decided to drop the kidnapping and robbery charges if he just pleaded guilty to delinquency, second-degree murder. So that's it. Felonies in family court are categorized as delinquencies. First-degree murder and kidnap and the like are all the same. So there are different levels of what it is. So Waller and so everybody's pled now, the two girls and the ladies and the young man, and now Waller and Gray are going to be tried together.
Oh, okay. Wow.
They're not happy about that, but they're going to be tried together. Gray, his way through this, because he admitted to it, took him out there. He can't exactly say he didn't do it. So what he does is he tries to claim mental illness.
Yeah.
And he does it in a way that the court actually called it, I can't remember, what is it here? They called it it was like they were impressed that they even thought to try this, basically, is what it was. I'll get to it. But they were like, wow, that's pretty impressive that you even thought of that. But no. He said, I'm mentally ill because of, first of all, I'm a super huge alcoholic, okay? Right. So that negates the intent element of the underlying offense of kidnapping and robbery. I was so drunk I couldn't have had any intent. Yeah. I was just like in the back of a truck, so, which he didn't have a signal worked out with his sister and all that kind of shit. For all he knew, he was a drunk going for a ride in the back of a pickup truck. But then when they had a guy tied to a tree, he was like, here's my shirt, let me kick him. So that's the problem.
That's where his story disappears.
Therein lies the problem. So in offer of proof, his counsel stated that he intended to produce several witnesses who would testify to his excessive drinking. He's a drunk. The state said that's irrelevant, and the court agreed with that. Now, one of the witnesses proffered in his offer of proof were present when Horseman was abducted, okay? And they said that it wouldn't have mattered. He thought that he couldn't appreciate or intend at the time for all that kind of shit. So that's how that worked. He also
trying to say he was shithoused at that moment.
At that moment. In addition to that, and right then I was hammered. Not only am I an alcoholic, at that time I was shit-faced. So There's that too. He also sought to establish a mental illness defense based on, and this is original, based on a combination of alcoholism and low intellect. He said, I'm dumb and drunk, okay? So, listen, I'm dumb and I'm drunk. These are problems.
When have you ever seen a dumb drunk be a threat to anybody? So,
the combination of stupid and drunk equals mental illness. That's what he said, which is wild. Back then, that was before they established, what was it, 79 or 80 or something, when they established exactly what mental illness was and made it so you basically had to think that fucking He-Man came down and did it and not you. Like, that's the only way. I saw He-Man do it is the only way you're crazy. But he said, if I combine those, during...
What's your IQ? Like, I don't know, like 85? Yeah, that's not enough. I also drink way too much.
When I drink, it's like a 50, 58, 59, I feel. It lowers it significantly, right? That should at least... I mean, I'm not even in the normal range at that point. I'm below Gump, as what they call it on the Gump scale. It's not good.
You know what? At that point, you got to go, you're not even dumb, because that was clever as fuck.
Yeah. You were at least smart enough to hire a lawyer who's clever enough to come up with that. So, you know what? So the counsel for Gray proffered the testimony of the state psychologist to examine Gray, and he said he would testify, quote, concerning alcoholism, that the consumption of alcohol by an alcoholic is an involuntary matter, so it's not a voluntary intoxication defense, which is something else. That's like almost like a manslaughter thing. That's different. Okay. And he said that it's involuntary and that this is something he cannot control once he starts, and that combined with his, quote, low intellectual ability could have placed him in a position mentally of being unable to appreciate the wrongfulness or conduct or to substantially control his conduct that day. So
that is
there you
so
go.
Interesting.
So involuntary intoxication is also a defense that he wants to use here. In any prosecution for an offense, it says that is for an offense, it is a defense that this is involuntary intoxication. As a result of intoxication, which is not voluntary, the actor at the time, meaning whoever's in the case, right, of this conduct lacked substantial capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness of his conduct or to perform a material element of the offense, or lacked sufficient willpower to choose whether he would do the act or refrain from doing it. This is what they say, quote, the combination alcoholism low intellect argument is a novel approach. This is what the court writes. That's amazing. A novel approach. If a judge finds what you're doing a novel approach, at least put that a feather in your cap if you're a lawyer. You thought of some shit that no one else ever has before. Yeah. It's got to be worth something, right? Probably pursued.
The judge is certainly going to talk about this at his next barbecue, and that I am very proud of.
That doesn't often happen. He likes to leave it right here at the office, so it's impressive. Next is they're upset about Miranda rights here. Now, if you're not from the U.S., Miranda is when you see a U.S. show and you have the right to remain silent, you have a right to an attorney and all that shit. When you see that on a United States cop show, that's Miranda rights. So. Yeah. Now, they have to give you Miranda rights every once in a while. They can't, read you your rights, then question you for a while, then you, go and sleep for 8 hours, and they pull you back in. They have to re-Mirandize you at that point. So there's certain breaks that are, official breaks. Anyway, so they said that in the Supreme Court held that a criminal defendant is entitled to be informed of 4 specific rights prior to interrogation. He must be warned prior to any questioning that he has the right to remain silent, that anything he can and say will be used against him in a court of law. These are all the things that you hear all the time. That he has the right to the presence of an attorney, and that if he cannot afford one, obviously, an attorney will be appointed to him prior to any questioning if he so desires. Right. We've all heard that. But prior to interrogation, they were given these 4 warnings, both suspects, but they said that there is a 5th Miranda right which he must be advised of as well, namely that if at any time during the interview they wish to discontinue, they have the right to stop. Okay. Now, there is language in the Miranda decision to the effect that if the individual is alone and indicates in any manner he does not wish to be interrogated, the police may not question him. But neither the Supreme Court nor the court at that time had ever held that the admissibility of a defendant's statement is dependent upon showing that he was expressly advised of this 5th Miranda right. So the other 4, you have to be advised of. This one's kind of an optional, apparently. This is like a floating rib. The Miranda opinion does not conclude that explanation to an accused of this requirement for a police cutoff of questioning is an integral part of the required initial warning requisite to a valid waiver. So that's what they said. The requirement is
that part of Miranda rights?
Yes, but it's not apparently one you have to give them back then. It was only the 4. The 5th one of you can stop at any time didn't have to be said.
Does that have to be said today?
I believe it does. The requirement is directive only and is not a required warning under Miranda, but is instead a caveat to the police that if an accused wishes to stop answering questions, the police have a duty to close the interrogation. So it's true that if you say you don't want to, that they have to stop. That's true, but that's not part of Miranda in proper, apparently, to warn of that. I mean, even though it's true.
the Miranda rights and warnings essentially say that. I mean, it's built into that. Like, if anything you say can and will be used against you. Do you want to talk? At that point, you should be like, I mean, not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That I wouldn't have talked if you told me that last part. I doubt is a thing.
I could quit at any time. I didn't know that if I started, I could stop.
Yeah,
I thought once I started, I couldn't stop till I was convicted.
Yeah, at the same time, it's just a matter of are you required to say that? If not, then fuck off. You know, if they're not required to say it by the Constitution under Miranda, then never mind. But if they are, then they needed to, which apparently they weren't at the time.
It's essential. It's essentially built into the first four, which are, I mean, they're warnings. That's all it really is. But if you did something, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what it should be. Did you do something? Shut the fuck up about it. There, you're going to get off. Everything's going to work out much better for you at that point. So the prosecutor, apparently, there's a thing with discovery of evidence. Apparently, the prosecutor originally agreed with the defense counsel to a, quote, open door discovery policy with the evidence that the state had. And now, despite the agreement, though, the Waller and Gray say that the state failed to provide certain items deemed material to the defense. One was a dirt sample taken from the base of the tree where Horstman was found, a bark sample from that tree, and a set of color photographs taken at the scene on the day the remains were discovered. And the Waller and Gray say they didn't become aware of the existence of the dirt and the bark samples and the lack of any scientific tests performed upon them until after the trial had started. So they said that they weren't told of this as the trial goes on. They're told of this. They say that the trial court's failure to order discovery as originally agreed to, along with the introduction into evidence of the above items, severely will prejudice them and their right to a fair trial. So it must be thrown out. Their lawyer is good. Whoever their lawyer is they're trying to find anything they can here. They said the state had agreed to an open door discovery policy. It appears, though, that a misunderstanding arose between the prosecutor and defense counsel as to the extent of that agreement. It's open door, but not for all the rooms. You can come into the living room, but if you find like a bedroom door locked, you can't just go in there and rifle through my medicine cabinet either.
Also, what do they think weird. Is that what do they think the greasy spot is? They think that tree is just it's just a leaky one.
It's just a leaky tree. It's a maple,
out of
everybody. It's leaking. So the trial court ordered that the usual discovery rules would apply, never mind the previous agreement and all of that shit. So anyway, this delays the trial. All of these things are just delays, basically. The detectives at the Bridgeville troop who investigated the murder apparently overlooked the pictures, and that's why the defense didn't get them because, quote, they were so busy. Okay, that's not a good enough excuse. No, you need to give... we were too busy to give the defense discovery is not okay. That's bullshit. Not going to cut it. That's a load of shit. So anyway, defense attorney Larry W. Pfeiffer, who represents Waller here, he said that there were no laboratory tests done on the body. Quote, there were no lab tests because there was nothing left of the body is what the doctor said when he said that to her, which is pretty fucking amazing. Now, the guys, Waller and Gray, wanted their trials to be separate. They have a motion to sever, but the court denies it there, which later on they'll say the trial court abused their discretion in this here. But there has to be like an antagonistic defenses. That's how you get things severed. Look, our defenses are directly butt heads with each other. How can we sit next to each other and it doesn't make sense? It's
my defense says he did it. His defense says I did it. We can't do this together.
That's kind of the thing here. So, but they said that they cited all this shit. Waller here, he contends that they were antagonistic defenses and a jury could not segregate the evidence against Waller from that against Gray. And the court said they do think they could. And at the request of the defense counsel, they held a big proceeding to figure out whether all this shit was, independent. Was this your witness or his witness? Are they against each other? Or it's a police officer testified at the hearing that after being brought to Troop 5 for questioning, Gray took the police happily to all this type of shit. He further testified that, he admitted the whole thing and admitted everything. So how are you going to say that there's any contrary defense? The defense is they both admitted it. I don't understand what's going on here. So they said the court says there's no antagonistic defenses in this case. Neither Gray nor Waller offered testimony which amounted to a defense at all. Furthermore, the trial court was correct in concluding that a jury would have little difficulty segregating the evidence between defendants. So there you go. Now, the opening, the prosecutor, first day, right out of the gate, he says, you got Waller here. They lure this guy out and blah, blah, blah. And he says he's, quote, acting as a pimp for Eleanor Waller and for Shirley Pryor, attempting to hook Horseman up with one of the two girls.
Okay.
Apparently he offered Pryor too, but he liked Eleanor better. That's how it worked. So, Jesus. Bobby Anderson testifies. They get the kid up there. He testifies. They bring him in. He said everybody had been drinking. And they cross-examination, they just tried to say that, like, he was only saying this because he got a deal. So, like, did you enter a plea? He says yes. And they said you pled guilty to second-degree murder. He said, did you agree with? He said, did you conspire with these guys to kill this guy? And Bobby says no. And then they kind of dig into him a little bit, trying to basically say that he said that the charges and everything, he wasn't tried as an adult because he was helping them. And yeah,
also because he's not an adult, he's a fucking child.
Also because he's 14, and these people were 37-year-old alcoholics. So
right.
This is. They said, quote, you were originally charged with murder in the first degree, robbery in the first degree, and kidnapping in the first degree, the same as George Gray, right? And they said they asked if you have any hopes of leniency or all that kind of shit. They did the same thing when they brought Shirley Pryor in. Yeah. Everybody that testified, they were like, you're getting lenient sentences, right? Isn't that true? And they all said, no, we have got no promise of sentencing, because they all have to testify before they get sentenced.
Right.
Waller testifies in his own defense here. He takes the stand. He gives, according to this newspaper, a rambling account of the abduction, which he said that he was drunk, but, quote, almost had to fight the other men to protect Horseman from a physical attack. So he said Bobby Anderson and George Gray had a bloodlust for this guy. Just a bloodlust for him. Wanted to just do horrible things to him, and he had to almost physically fight them off.
Yeah.
Just to tie him to a tree and leave him there.
I'm dumb and drunk, and I had to use that. That was working against me, and I had to try to convince these two to simmer their bloodlust. To just tie him to a tree.
Let's just tie him to a tree and leave him. Yeah, we could cut his head off, sure. But, I mean, really? Is that what kind of people we are?
Yeah.
He then testified, this is hilarious. I don't know how anybody would keep a straight face. If I was in the jury, I'd go, oh, poor shit, at this statement. He said when he was robbing Horseman, Waller testifies, quote, this is wild, quote, I told him, sir, I said, I don't know you and you don't know me. I would like to have some money and that's all I want. That's the politest robbery in the history of the world. Sir.
It's not how it happens.
Sir, I don't know you and you don't know me, but I'd really like to have some money and that's all I want, and I'll move on. Wow, that is fucking incredible right there.
That person
he tried to play that off.
The person that says that stands on an on-ramp to a freeway and gets $20 a day over the course of 6,000 cars.
Sir, I don't know you and you don't know me. But if you could help me out with a little bit of help so I could get a nice place to stay tonight. And then he says later, when they were strapping Horseman to a tree, Waller said that he recalls that he said, this is amazing, quote, I said, I'll probably come back and untie you. He was very cooperative. He didn't even seem that nervous. So Horseman was fine, really. We shouldn't even worry about him. He was into it. Basically.
He was having a great time.
He was having a great time. He's like, I haven't been tied to a tree since I was in my 20s. This is amazing. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Wow. He said, he was cooperative, and he said, I'll probably come back and untie you. Probably? That's something I want an assurance on. Probably? Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Probable? That's the chances I got.
He said that Waller, they said a statement Waller himself gave to the police where he directed an effort in which left him basically his statement to the police says, I was in charge of the tie-up. I told this guy to wipe the fingerprints down and give me your T-shirt and use a belt and give me all this shit. He said that he thought the man would get free. That's what he said. He goes, I figured he'd wiggle out eventually. So that's why we didn't care. We were just like, oh, he'll get out. He'll wiggle out eventually.
And that's got to be his best defense, because the really murder is you did this, and what did you expect was going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for this, like I can see somebody saying, I thought he would wiggle out, but no.
But yeah,
if you just tie his feet, I could see it.
He'll
you tie
eventually
his
figure it
shoulders
out.
back, man.
Yeah, his shoulders, his hands, his fucking head, he can't even move his head. Like, how was he supposed to do anything? Also, they say that they're being denied a fair trial because at one point the state brings into the courtroom the clothes of John Horstman, the victim, that he was wearing, as they're part of evidence, which, according to the defense, emitted an obnoxious odor. Well, that's because you left a man to die in them. That's probably why, stupid. That happens.
That is called decomp. Let's not call that obnoxious. That's a man.
Decomp goop is what that is. They said, and commenting upon them in front of the jury they said, oh, yeah, these don't smell good. And they said the clothes weren't in evidence at the time. They were being brought up to be put into evidence. So at that point, you can't make any commentary. So the examination of the record shows that while the state prosecutor was questioning a police officer about the victim's pants, the prosecutor stated, you may remove those from the courtroom. That's what they had in the records, and they feel like that was the pants at that point, because are these the pants? Yes, okay, get them out of here because they stink, basically. So this is what's going on. I'm drunk and dumb, which makes me crazy. That's one guy. And the other guy's like, I politely asked him for a couple of dollars, and then I, gently, what is he talking about? I got him a cup of tea after that. So what's going to happen here?
I massaged his feet behind the tree.
You know how he was so happy about it. So the jury comes back, and it is guilty for both of them here. Yeah. It's a 9-man, 3-woman jury, and guilty of second-degree robbery. Rather than the only thing that they didn't find it was George Gray. They found him guilty of second-degree robbery rather than first-degree robbery because he didn't actually get any of the $149 that they stole from Horstman. Okay. So he didn't get that part of it. Gray was also found guilty of kidnapping, and Waller was found guilty of robbery, kidnapping, and the murder as well. When they go to sentencing, they both face death by hanging at this point, which is wild.
Hilarious.
That is just nuts. They said that neither man showed any emotions when they read the sentence, when they read anything. Jurors were polled, and they just stared straight ahead, didn't give a shit. After the first-degree murder verdict was rendered, Gray and Waller were laughing it up, apparently, joking with prison guards, just like acting like nothing happened. It's just all fine here.
What?
They were like, oh, no big deal. We got found guilty of murder. I don't know if their lawyers told them, look, you're going to be found guilty, but we're going to get it flipped on appeal, so don't worry about it. That's probably what happened.
Also, you've been found guilty in the sentencing phase. If you act fucking crazy and they're like laughing and shit, perhaps they won't do it.
Yeah, maybe they're like, oh, they ain't even scared. So they said the jury's going to meet again to decide if the death penalty should be imposed. The prosecution and defense may introduce more evidence at this point, and the defense will argue against the death penalty, obviously, while the prosecution's going to say that they should be the first people to be hanged in the state of Delaware since 1946.
Wow.
When 34-year-old Forrest Sturdivant was hanged for murder in this county as well. Mm-hmm. So, sentencing comes around. So for the sentencing, the next morning, 11 of the 12 jurors who were there ended up, they're here for this. I don't know what the 12th juror is doing, but only 11 of them are there for some reason. And before the jury's brought in, the Deputy Attorney General Merritt Burke III told the judge that the state's position was that, quote, the jury has got no choice in this matter but to return a sentence of life in imprisonment, and that a sentence of hanging, quote, would not be upheld. So The prosecutor said that if we sentence these people to hang, this is not going to get upheld. It's going to get struck down. So let's just do life in prison, and we're happy with that as well.
Yeah, it's this 1970s. There's no way this is sticking.
Yeah, they had argued with it for it, but now it's, it had just been reinstated that year or the year before,
hanging?
76. It's the death penalty in general.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So the state here, they said that they would be, they're asking the jury now to do that. And so they end up, they took a break in the sentencing, though, for a higher court to decide something because it had to do with them. The Delaware Supreme Court released its ruling on the constitutionality of the state's year-old capital punishment law at the time. They upheld most of the statute. The high court struck down as unconstitutionally vague 2 of the very, quote, aggravating circumstances that the jury is now debating for them. So that's why. One of the aggravating circumstances was that Whisman was, quote, elderly and defenseless. That was one of them. When the penalty hearing came, the defense attorney asked that the jury be dismissed because it already heard that the elderly, aged comments and no amount of because when they go back to that, now the prosecution can't use that anymore, the elderly and aged thing. Okay. And so the defense is saying we need a whole new jury to do sentencing because they already heard that, and now they can't unhear it. So that's when the prosecutor's like, you know what? Fuck it. Life imprisonment's fine.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to get fucking overturned, and we don't want to deal with that shit. The other one, they said that Whisman's death involved torture, and that Waller directed others to commit murder, and that it was outrageously or wantonly vile, horrible, or inhuman. 3 other aggravating circumstances provided there. The prosecutor introduced an FBI report on Waller, which showed he had previously been convicted of several other crimes, but none of them were, at the time they said, quote, none of them violent. They didn't consider rape a violent crime back then.
See what I mean? That is
none of them violent. That's
crazy.
Wild. That's insanity. So that's really insane. So the defense, in a plea for leniency, argued there were several mitigating factors, including his client's deprived socioeconomic background and the fact that he was, quote, not in Delaware and could not have been available to release Whisman from the tree to which he was tied. That's because you got on a bus and went to Philadelphia with a fucking guy tied to a tree. That's insane. His defense was, well, we ran away. We went on the lam from this crime, so he couldn't have. That's nuts.
We tried to go back, but the bus driver would not make a U-turn.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about that. In addition, they argued that the other defendants in the case weren't facing any risk of death. So finally, they say, you, sirs, may fuck off and life in prison here for the boys, Waller and Gray. They should Waller's rest of his life in jail, and that's that. Other sentencing here, Shirley Mae Pryor and Eleanor Waller, the thing is, unlike them, they are sentenced, Waller was sentenced to life without parole, okay? Mm-hmm. The women, though, are sentenced to, the lowest sentence you can get for murder is life in Delaware at the time. Mm-hmm. But life at that point meant that the women could be released from jail in less than 15 years. So that's what that meant. Life was like...
Eleanor's a problem.
Eleanor's, she was setting the guy up. I mean, her and her brother had hands.
She's an enormous problem.
She is Bonnie, and she's going to walk. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
She's definitely Bonnie. And Anderson can only be kept in custody till he's 19, like I said. So they all go to prison. 1984... I found this article from 84. They've all been in prison a few years now, and it's about mothers in prison, this article. And they talk about Shirley Pryor, and, she pled guilty and all that kind of shit, and she says that she sees her daughters about every other month in jail. So she said, my mother has to drive so far. I write a lot of letters, 8 or 9 letters a month, and they don't write me back. Mm-hmm. That's because you're in jail for murder, and you've been there for 6 years, and your kids are probably mad at you. I would assume that you murdered someone and left their life. The children live with their father and their stepmother in Salisbury, where they have lived. The Pryors got divorced in 1975. Pryor is involved in prison in a juvenile awareness program where inmates work with problem youths. Okay. And she said, as we meet with these juveniles, it's really helping me deal with my children. They have problems at home. They can't communicate with their mothers and their parents. After the group session, I know how to cope with my children better. So, but you're in jail. She said she wants her children to avoid the mistakes she made, but she says that, communication's hard, especially with her younger daughter. She says, quote, I try to talk seriously to her, but she laughs at me. She only wants someone to take care of and love her. I can't do anything while I'm in here. I want them to have a better life. It's frustrating. Well, the kid's only 2. What do you expect? Obviously, it's hard. No, I'm just kidding. You try to have a serious conversation. She just keeps saying juice, juice, juice. And I'm like, I'll get you juice. Hold on a minute. Trying to tell you how to build a stock portfolio.
I can't really tell if she's saying juice or if she's just very anti-Semitic.
I think I don't understand it. I mean, yes, we're all half German in the family, but Anyway, April of 1981, to go back a little bit, is they call, this is when they come out with the fact that they say it might not have been criminal. The attorneys for Waller and Gray are saying that, yes, it was a bizarre, unfortunate thing that happened here, but they probably shouldn't be classified as murder. It was just kind of a crazy accident. Just a crazy accident.
I could see if somebody's wearing a ball gag and they suffocate and you didn't mean to kill them, but they just died that way. You know what I mean? This isn't a sex tie-up game and somebody's having a great time.
No, that's what I mean. Oh,
you're robbing a man.
Yeah, and forcing him to do this shit.
Right.
And he's begging for his life. And they said, had we known the dirt samples, had we known that Dr. Tobin was going to refer to the dirt samples, perhaps it could have shown that the deceased didn't die when he was tied to the tree. So we didn't kill him. Something else must have killed him. Blame the animals or whatever the fuck. So September of 1981 is the first official appeal here, and the Delaware Supreme Court upholds the conviction of them basically here, and they had 13 grounds for overturning the conviction. They were arguing about the felony murder statute because they were saying they didn't actually kidnap him is the thing. They went a little far with that. I mean, he was driving the truck. He could have driven wherever he wanted. So they were saying that kidnapping in the second degree should be there. And then they were talking about how the statute had changed in the state, so maybe that's what it is. They said the defendants make 2 related arguments. First, they contend that the state's indictment in the case is defective because it's specified as the included felony under the murder statute, the crime of kidnapping, which is no longer a statutory offense in the state. So it changed by then. So they're trying to say
robbery.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah, I would think so. And they definitely fucking robbed him. But Gray would say, I didn't rob him. Remember, I didn't get any money. I'm second degree, not first degree. So that's not an aggravator. So, or that's not, what that is. So anyway, the statute, as it refers to kidnapping, it says could not possibly fail, quote, to give a person of ordinary intelligence fair notice that his contemplated conduct is forbidden by the statute. So, yeah. Okay. Anybody who's not completely out of their minds knows what kidnapping is what they said. Now, they also said the jurors, they fucked up in the jury process, saying that it was an abuse of discretion. The defense says that the trial court should have conducted a more in-depth exploration of the jurors' potential biases because this case involved inflammatory aspects, like the intense media coverage of the case, the difference in race between some of the people here, because Gray is black and Horseman is white. Okay. So they were saying that. And I believe Shirley May Pryor might be black as well. Okay. And the defendants who there, and also Waller's alleged solicitation of Horseman for sex with Eleanor, they said that shouldn't even have been brought up. That's just inflammatory. I mean, shit. Okay. And the excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages. Let's just all put that aside and say, forget about it, huh? What do you say? So they should go into all that. 92 prospective jurors were asked 18 questions as a group. This was done twice to ensure that the members of the panel remembered the questions asked and their individual responses, make sure they didn't answer differently 5 minutes later. Those giving affirmative answers to any of the questions were removed, and the remaining 29 were questioned individually. 11 jurors are then selected out of 29, and the remaining juror was picked from a group of 63. So questions asked of everybody pertain to radio and newspaper publicity, personal knowledge of the case, familiarity with the defendants or victim, racial prejudice, and other biases, including questions like, do you know anything about the case, either through your personal knowledge, discussion with anyone else, or the news media? Do you know of any reason why you cannot give this case your undivided attention and render a fair and impartial verdict? And defendants in this case are black, the alleged victim is white. Do you have any racial prejudice that would prevent you from rendering a fair and impartial verdict in this case? Would you give the testimony of a police officer more credence than others merely because he's a police officer? You can't answer yes to any of those or you're out. So that's fine. So they were all interviewed, everything like that. They're saying they weren't asked the right questions, and normally I'm all up for that sort of thing, but I feel like this case is pretty open and shut. Like, you left a guy tied to a fucking tree. It's not really right. They also attacked the deputy attorney general, Sam Burke, and he blamed the state police for the evidence problem with when they said they were just plumb busy, just super busy. We couldn't get there. So there was that. One of the issues raised was that the prosecutor didn't give them access to some of the evidence until 4 days before the trial. That was the color photographs that the police were too busy to give them, which is not a good thing to do. They said that they knew. Now the prosecution says that the defense knew about the photographs and never asked for them. So, that's the deal there. But the one guy said that it's an embarrassment for the office. He said, I have to go to court and correct something, and that is not the type of conduct that we expect from deputies. Yeah. You're not too busy, goddammit. Get them their shit. So then there was the thing about the samples, and that's pretty crazy. The color photos, like we talked about. Anyway, they're all upheld. All these convictions for everybody are upheld. 1996, James Waller goes before the Board of Pardons. Okay? This is to try to get his life sentence commuted to life with parole. Okay. This is what he's trying to do here. So he's asking for that. He says he wanted a chance to leave prison and help others. The board noted that he has been disciplined numerous times while in prison and does not seem that helpful on the outside. No, thank you, sir. Yeah, is what they said.
You got eight aliases, man.
Dude, 8 aliases. One of them raped a chick. Like, this is crazy. You're like, you have military crimes.
You want to help who, man?
Yeah, who are you helping? So anyway, too bad for him. That was 96. 2011 here, James Waller is again denied a commutation of his life sentence. They voted unanimously to reject it, citing the nature of his crimes, the victim's suffering, and the fact that he repeatedly gets in trouble in prison. Right. No matter what the fuck he does. Even that was 15 years later. Right. Still a problem.
You're a problem in here with all these rules. So you think you can go out there with a little bit less rules and all of a sudden
it's all going to come together for you? Yeah. No, thanks. It seems like it comes up every 15 years. Because it was from 81 was when the appeals are over, and then it was 96, and then 2011. Okay. Seems like you can check on that every 15 years. But doesn't quite make it to the next one because April 30th, 2020, James Waller drops dead in prison. He died. Yes. Do
you hope like I do that it was COVID?
Well, he died of COVID. That's exactly what he died of. Yep. He was moved.
Fantastic.
And he had been returning a negative test, but he registered a fever. Last time he had a test was April 8th, and they've been doing temperature checks before that. And then during the meantime, and then on April 26th, he registered a fever. He was moved to the prison infirmary and tested positive for COVID. He was admitted to Bay Health Hospital, and his condition deteriorated. He received some care, but he died. And that was that. So
why is that so funny to me?
I don't know. It's at least it killed a murderer, not somebody's grandma or something that was sitting
maybe
somewhere.
that's what it is. It
I
feels
guess.
like there's a silver lining to this shit.
And then right after that, George Gray dies as well. He
Get
is
the
dead.
fuck out of here.
Nope. He was 79 years old when he died. Died at Bay Health Hospital. Same as Waller there.
Same
he had
thing?
he had a history of chronic health conditions, including hypertension, diabetes, and COPD. So he had breathing problems.
So
he was a heavy set guy too.
It was just he was the fucking target audience for that shit.
Yeah, he was a big heavy set guy too. Gray.
Okay.
He was a. So I don't know if those breathing problems mixed with being heavier is not going to help you any if you can't breathe anyway.
Yeah.
So he was admitted for shortness of breath, and further assessment revealed a diagnosis of aggressive metastatic lung cancer.
Oh no.
He was treated. His treatment was immediately initiated, but it continued to deteriorate, and he was placed on comfort care, which I assume is like hospice for prisoners.
That's prison hospice. That's no good.
No, and he was pronounced dead. There he is, dead as shit. Everybody's dead. Yes, it was that, but it wasn't COVID actually. So there you go. So they're dead. We don't know where Bobby Anderson is with his common ass name, and. Eleanor Waller, God knows where she is, and Shirley Mae Pryor, we knew she was in prison trying to see her daughter. So hopefully Shirley Mae Pryor got it back on track, and just like Shirley Mae Pryor and Bobby Anderson, they don't bother me. Like none of this was their idea. They wouldn't have been involved in this if it wasn't for other people. They were hanging out with shitty people and were too weak to do anything. One was a child, so he has no way of doing anything.
And a child who obviously was born into a very difficult world if he's going from Florida to fucking Delaware to do
migrant farm work.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
14.
So,
that's crazy.
I mean, he shouldn't have been in school because it was August, by the way, so he wouldn't have been in school anyway, but still he was on the road doing farm work, which is very strange. So I don't see that. Eleanor Waller, on the other hand, helps. I mean, her and her brother have a predetermined signal to set people up to rob them. So this isn't the first time they've done this shit.
That is a sick kinship.
That's that's some sick shit going on there. So that's the way I'm looking at it. And Gray and Waller, I mean, like I said, you can't be like they're sick. You know what I mean? They didn't do the horrible action that most people do. Most people, can look into someone's eyes and turn the lights out. That's of the people we talk about. But this was like, for the murderers, it was the least, horrible action, but probably the most suffering for any victim we've encountered, or close to it. So it's
the cowardice
really
involved in that on the murdering side is it's off the charts.
Yeah.
You can't even be there to do your fucking awful thing.
Yes, exactly. Me personally, I would have paroled Gray after his 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he just seemed like he was a fucking drunk that was like, he was in the back of the truck. Yeah, I don't think he was in on the planning of this whole thing. Right. So I think that Waller is the ringleader, his idea, pimping his sister, rape fucking convictions in the past, 8 different aliases. That guy can fuck off and sit in prison forever because if he didn't do it to this guy, he would have done it to somebody else at some other point. He's a piece of shit. But I don't think anybody else deserves really life in prison without parole. That seems, for Gray, it seemed a little harsh for me.
It's pretty awesome that COVID got a guy like that.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. A bad guy. At least one out of 600,000 wasn't too shabby, so that's good.
And so far, going so far to be just and even trying to get out of it all, skirt the justice and be scot free from it all. Acting like you paid your penance. You're a dirtbag, man.
Dude, that's what I mean. For Gray to not have the idea to do it, to just give a guy your T-shirt, help him do something, and kick a guy twice isn't life without parole for me. You know what I mean? I get that you could go into a gas station and your partner could rob somebody and shoot them. You had nothing to do with it. You didn't pull any trigger or whatever, and you're still an accomplice and still
didn't
up
even
for
have
that,
a gun. Still going.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just tough on this one. I don't know if Gray knew what the plan was. It's just I don't know. But fuck Waller. Anyway, that, everybody, is Laurel, Delaware. And we've never had a story where someone tried to pimp their sister, have we? Is that a new one? Small town murder first? It's a small town murder first.
for like low end, you know what I mean? For discount bargain basement prices.
$10.
Fire sale pussy. Yeah. It's awful.
The Hookers at the Point documentary, they charge more than that. You know, remember?
And that was in the 80s or early 90s.
Like the 90s, and this was like, you know, sleazy industrial area, toothless, like, you know, last leg of their career ladies of the night. It's a different thing. So, anyway, if you enjoyed that story, let the world know about it. Get on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars. It really does help drive you up the charts. Why? We have no fucking idea, but it does. Yeah. Do all of that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for everything crime and sports and small town murder. And get your tickets to live shows, get your merch. Tons of new merch up, by the way. Check all that out. Those upside-down digital shirts are badass, too.
The fucking coolest.
They're cool as shit. You need to get
kudos to Sarah for finding the person to design that and nailing it. That fucking logo is legit.
It is, man. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody out there who's been wearing it. And we've seen people posting pictures of it. We appreciate it. You can get all your merch there. Get your tickets to live shows at shutupandgivememurder.com, though, because so many live shows all throughout 2022 and even a few at the end of 2021 here. I know we're in California. We're in Boston. That's sold out. We're in California. We're in Phoenix.
We're in Oregon.
We're in Portland. We're in Seattle. Yeah. Come see us there. And then the whole deal all throughout next year. We're going to a bunch of very cool and very terrible places all at once. So find us at one of those. Make the places that are terrible a little less terrible by hanging out with us. Do that. Buy your tickets now. You can follow us on social media. We're at Murder Small on Twitter, at SmallTownPod on Facebook, at SmallTownMurder on Instagram as well. You can do all of that. Most importantly, patreon.com/crime and sports. It's where you get all your bonus stuff. And the bonus stuff is it's good shit. I'm sorry.
It's quality, man.
We don't like to pat ourselves on the back, but these shows are fucking hilarious. They're really good. If you want to hear these shows, if you don't, I don't think you like us very much. But if you do, you want to hear these shows. Trust us. This week we do kind of a little retrospective on drugs and sports, kind of over the since the late 1800s. We talked about it. Our first cocaine overdose athlete was 1902. That we could find. I mean, literally, that's how far back this shit's been going on. And then the introduction of steroids. You wouldn't believe what people used to shoot into themselves before an athletic event.
Even more to the point, you wouldn't believe what doctors would use to saw your leg off. You wouldn't have a clue.
It's so crazy.
They made surgery sound like so much fun.
Oh, boy, just tons of cocaine. And then for the Small Town Murder bonus episode, even though you have access to everything, both episodes, the whole back catalog, the whole deal, for Small Town Murders, we have the downfall of the Hillside Stranglers, two of the biggest assholes that we've ever produced as a society, I must say. Just terrible serial killers from the 70s that did unspeakable things to women. And we're going to talk about not that stuff, but how they got caught and kind of the craziness that ensued from there. Because the whole
all of it.
It's insane. People women writing screenplays and then trying to like live them to get them out of trouble, and faked hypnosis and multiple personalities.
Jizz smuggling. It's crazy.
We have a story of jizz smuggling. So if you want to find out what bug house means and how to smuggle jizz out of a prison, you want this week's bonus episodes. Patreon.com/crime and sports right now. And that goes for all that. And you're a producer, so you're going to get a shout out as well, Jimmy. And we're going to get to the list in just a moment here. Jimmy is going to mispronounce your name while trying his best to pronounce it properly. There's that. And I think that's about it. Social media, do all of that stuff. Follow us. Shout outs. PayPal too, if you want to make a donation, a one-time donation, and just get a shout-out and our undying love and affection, you can do that at PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, Jimmy, I need right now, I need love. I need to feel good about myself. Hit me with a list of just the best goddamn fucking people that science, nature, or God has ever produced. Please. Hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producers are obviously Jordan Bennett and not Grim, Karen Lewis, Josh Jessup, Kevin Spilker, Matt Wilkins donated according to Italy's score against England.
I saw that. That was an awesome donation. Thank you. Thank you.
I got a kick out of that. Shannon Stone and Todd Steffi, and also Laura. Thank you. Laura didn't give a last name, which is bananas. You're amazing. Thank you, Laura. Can't thank you enough. Also, the memory of Andy Sparky Green. Somebody donated in his memory. I wanted to give that person credit as well, but they said no, just say Andy. So
let's respect
rest
him.
In peace, Andy. He was a listener, so miss him already.
Man. Damn.
Other producers this week are Maria Rasper, Thomas DeMello, Thomas Smith, Frank the South African birdwasher, Gabriel Bell. He got a promotion, so he gave us a cut of it. Thanks, Gabriel. Brendan Abels, Devin Langus, Steve the rock and roll scientist. The guy's fucking great. I can't wait to see him again.
Totally.
Philly's. I really miss that town.
Oh, a lot of great people in Philly. We get to see TJ. We get to see him. We got a lot of cool people we like in Philly.
So many people to go see. Yeah. Caleb York, Blair, Melanie, and Brittany, and the shitload of people they brought to the show. Del Griffith and his shower rings.
Solid.
That was Del Griffith, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Clayton Watson, Janice Hill, Travis Marshall, and Bennett, his golden retriever, Mo and Ryan Marquise, or Marcus, I think it's Marquis. They're getting married. Congratulations. James Martyr, Jeff Stanton Jr.'s friends, Chris and Becky got engaged. Congratulations. So many people making terrible decisions. Peyton Meadows.
Good luck
memory,
to you.
The memory of Zach Shane Rice in Springfield. The Springfield, Missouri police are still looking for who took Zach from us. So,
Jesus Christ,
get on it, Springfield.
Yeah, put that
Archibald Stanislav Bunker. Do you know who that is?
Nice. Well, it's Archie Bunker.
Ravish Mulalovich regenerated a finger. Good work.
Hey, good for him. Growing it back.
Corporal Carl Kirshner still around. Uncle Leo's son Jeffrey at the Park Service.
Jeffrey, yeah. He works at the Parks Department.
Mr. Bentley, Ralph the Doorman, and Mother Jefferson's wig. Chris with no last name.
Jefferson's references and Seinfeld. You guys are awesome.
Miles Palmquist, Rob Myers, Joe Salvi, Fart Pants, whoever that is, Chris Almodovar, which that guy, probably not related, but there is a newscaster who his last name is Almodovar, and he has to say that after every report, and somebody has made a supercut on YouTube that's fucking unbelievable. It's whatever. It's like Almodovar. I forget. It's like Rafael Almodovar, and he has to say it. It's amazing. I'm going to send it to you. It's fantastic. So,
Jesus,
Chris is probably no relation.
I
but
kind
of
get. I get that. Get having to say your long last name.
Yeah. May Dean, I think, Paul Roy, Sherry Schwark, Dr. Seuss 74, Cole Heisterman, Lena with no last name, Dave Schwartzik, Michelle Hickman, Taylor no last name, Cedric Sargent, Robert Alvote, Celeste McDonough, Taurine Hughes, Nikki with no last name, Adam Coppola, Stephanie Clark, Jess Masseri, I think it's Masseri, I forget, Kelly Lloyd. Isabel White, Samantha with no last name, Jen Greenan, Cayman Jarvis, Jenny with no last name, Tiffany Sanderson, Chancellor Bailey, Maddie Stover, Ridiculous Randy, Kara Hamlin, Summer Johnson, Amy Bancroft, Mandy Wideck, Alejandra, Tyler Duthie, Kelly Larmour, Bill Mann, Lorna Gustner, L.T. Willis, Beth Fries, Kenneth Graham, Kristen Dotson, Jesse, no last name, Stephen Henderson, James Harrington, Hillary with no last name, Stacy Manley, Christina Watson, Kathy Stalter, Jody Bowen, Peter Jude, Jacob Frisch, Winston with no last name, Katie Wolf, Stephanie Sluka.
You're on a roll, Jimmy.
Fuck, that one's
flying.
a tough one.
Man, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm like, let him go.
Dylan Cassidy, Felicia Tarns, Joe Scarcella, Eric Bouth, Christina Farisi. Farisi. It's Farisi, right?
Farisi.
It's Farisi. ESE, so it's got to be Farisi.
Oh, ESE.
Yeah.
I thought there was a C in there. Okay.
No.
It could be, yeah. All right,
I'll fuck up either way. Sean McKnight, Etta Lind, Megan Powlock, Justin with no last name, Morgan
Megan
Weeks,
what?
Say again?
What was that? Megan Pollock?
Paulack?
You definitely called her Megan Pollock, so I just wanted to clarify that was
Pawlak. That one's a tough one.
Pollock.
Paulack.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Thanks, Megan Pollock. We appreciate it.
Jay Paris, Cynthia Chapman, Trent Reinerson, Parker Johnson, Angel Delgado, Otto Hess, Jamie S., Connor Fudge, Daniel Escobedo, Richard Hopkinson, Matthew, nope, that's Mason Mills, Damon Hamer, Jadine Young, Andrew Dorn, Colette Ciarlante, Jesus, Ryan with no last name, Lainey Tolley, Christine Kint.
To stop there with the vowels, please.
Mr. Meowgie. That's somebody's cat, right? Meowgie. That's fantastic.
Meowgie. That is a good name. It's a good one.
Emily Giedemann, Michael Bennett, Melissa Brown, Chris Doyle, Hannah Sutoff, Leah Muse. Oh, like the dude from Clerks. Jason. Muse.
Jason Muse, yeah.
What is this? Alana Marie Gordon, Jody West, Kim Miller, Robert White, Brandon Torregino. Was Chris Preston, Case the Third, Jessica Bone, hell yeah, Shelley Fain, Ken McKeon, fuck, Mark Daly, Mickey with no last name, Chelsea with no last name, Matthew Lang, Candace Taylor Austin, Douglas Porter, Nick Belgiorno, Amanda Yates, UPS Joe, KY, or the state of Kentucky, I'm not sure which, Riley Timmons Orr, Rick Myers, Ian Woodhams, Skylar Olig, Robbie Macon, Bud Hoffman, Cameron Cross, William with no last name, Amanda Walls, Jackie Benecke. What is this? Vicky's sister Shay Valancourt, I think. What is this? Danielle Gledhill, James Hutchison, Andrew Morris, Caroline Quaid, the Quaid boy's sister. Anne with no last obviously. Name. Tara Dawkins, Jessica Robbins Eads, Nancy Sheely, Anna Case, Satoya Moody, Joseph Brown. Oh, like Judge Joe. Moira Speroni, Macy Marcelino, Sean Pomranke, Megan Bianco, Philip with no last name, Alexis Hunsinger, Monty Wakerlig. Boy, oh boy. Tawny Garcia, Graham Cox, Little Mousy Boy, Marina Boda, Adam with no last name, Rebecca Myers, Danielle Munoz, Chris Bailey, Adam Carpenter, Josh Herman, Brandon Ross, Tina Malia, Mad Hatter, Daniel with no last name, also Eric with no last name, Justin Robertson, Michael Johnson, Thomas Rutkowski, Shelby Bew, Reese Turner, Eric Schiller, Silas Klisch, Amber Henchies, whoa boy, Rebecca Morgan, Kaylee Ray, Connie Clark, Nicholas Oliver, Roberto Martha, Katya Grimm, Allison Fearfile, fuck. Oh, I don't know. Kitten Ledoux, Don South, Valerie with no last name, Leslie Dubbs, Travis Zibrick, Roy Phillips, I almost pronounced that P, Dorothy with no last name, Yasmin White, Tiffany Mason, Friendly Neighborhood Wheelie Boy, Nathan Berrio, Sylvester G, Ryan Wegger, Amanda, nope, that's Amber, no last name, Mark Bruno, Dustin Rick, Alex Walshinsky, Terry Monaco, Natalia, Solodivkiv. What?
Yeah,
Solodkiv?
Something Russian.
Katya with no last name, Dallas Dennis, Colin Givens, Michael Troa Jr., Kyle Todd, Daniel Archer, Zach Wenig, Chris Holt, Julian Rios, Hunter Pickett, Elizabeth with no last name, Joshua Bain, Tamara Colwell, Pamela Knapp, Watrous, I don't know, Peter Masters, Theo Garrett, David K. Valentine, Annie Tapolesky, Liz Bengston. Nope, that's T before the S. How do you even do that? Bengtson. Ashley Turnbow. Rosalind Aiken Hall. Naomi Bell. Gennaro Passarella. That sounds delicious. Kevin Legassi. Jennifer Burke. Molly Teague. Stephanie with no last name. Heidi Overman Rush. Nope, that's Lush Rimbaugh. That is fucking great. Tucker Brackenberry, Deborah Edwards, Matt Brook, Kelly Anderson, Josh Venticher, Taylor Stansberry, Michael Hackney, Andrea and Mauricio Lazo, Jacob Foster.
Lazo. That's a good name.
Helena Chun, and Cheryl Sharp, and obviously all of our patrons. Truly, you guys have given me the opportunity to be the best father I can be, and I can't thank you more or enough. Truly, thank you so much for everything you do for us.
Seriously, everybody, thank you so much. We cannot thank you enough. And we're just beside ourselves with I don't even know what to call it. Gratitude, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything that you do for us. And we make the show for you because that's what matters. We don't give a shit about sponsors or ads or any of that stuff. We make it for you because you are the ones who support us. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And Jimmy, what if they wanted to thank you or maybe have something disparaging to say? How could they get a hold of you to do so?
You can write me a letter and send it in the mail.
Yeah, you can stamp it, get your quill pen out and really work on it.
You can find me on the internet, just the same place you can find James, and that is through the Google. Work it.
You just Google us. We'll pop up, and you'll go, oh yeah. Then you click on us, and it'll say all the places you can follow us and everything like that. And we'll be so thankful that you did that.
Truly.
Just like we're so thankful that you listened to this show, everybody. Right. Thank you so much. We had a good time, and we hope you did as well. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.